I'll be your friend.
Big news. I have some important news for you.
Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy. Happy February 1.
Yay! Good morning, Blake and Aaron.
February.
I know, already. Went by quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got some interesting news headlines this morning, including fire of some trailers that were, I guess, left abandoned in Georgetown.
Oh, no.
So 3 trailers caught on fire yesterday afternoon. Yes, quite spectacular, in fact.
Really?
Lots of smoke and lots of excitement. Yeah.
Where at was that?
Right close to Cayman Auto Diagnostic Clinic in Georgetown.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in the fire department, it's exciting, right? You don't get a lot of fires to run to and battle.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's what you do for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
they were definitely there on
As long as somebody
location
was
putting it
hurt.
out.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No,
So
it was like people were living in it. It was
Oh,
just
really?
No. These
wasn't
are
a house.
these are the trolley. What are they called? Trolley Rogers or whatever they were called. The ones that used to carry tourists around in town.
Oh, well, someone was like,
Oh,
I
those
remember
things.
those things. I'm gonna let never mind. That was on me. It was on me.
So
But they were annoying.
the gentleman who brought 3 firearms into the Cayman Islands appeared in court yesterday. He had his first court appearance.
Okay.
Russian citizen Anton Parisian, 45 years old, appeared via video link, and he will be remanded to prison now. He was in police custody all of this time, and
Okay.
he's been formally charged with the importation of 3 firearms, and that is a total of 6 counts of possession and importation.
Wow.
Yeah, so he appeared before Magistrate Gunn. He will be back in court tomorrow morning, where his attorney will try to make a bail application, and also he will have the case elevated to Grand Court for further.
I don't see why.
Feelings.
I mean, personally, just as a a citizen, seems like a bad actor. Do you want this guy on the street?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
What else is he doing besides bringing in guns?
Yeah, it's weird.
right. All right, one final story.
Mhm.
DOE gets almost £400,000 for sea turtle protection projects. So congratulations to them. These types of grants, of course, are very, very important for them to do things like, protecting the sea turtles in the Cayman Islands from multiple threats that are brought on, in particular, by climate change and, of course, human beings.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So congrats.
Hey, can
Those
we,
are news headlines.
can you find out where the MRCU is and like why
Yeah.
why these mosquitoes
My
are
dog got taken, carried away.
seriously
Yeah. Okay.
so bad right now.
They are. I haven't seen
All right.
them
I'll
now.
do my best.
All right.
All right, Sandy. Check out Sandy coming up at 7:30 on Bobo 89.1 FM. We'll see you tomorrow. All right.
All right. Good.
Bye.
All right, folks. Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone doing? Hope you guys are well. Happy Wednesday.
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's Community Radio. We are still spilling the tea and committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman, live, direct. It's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are having a fantastic morning. Good morning. Good morning. Listen, not only is it Wednesday, but it is the first day of February. February the 1st already. Wow. Look at that. My goodness, how time flies. So I'm feeling better, sounding better. I just took some meds. I realized last night I actually forgot to take my allergy tablets. I did do that. I had a bit more congestion last night actually than the night before, but I was sitting here thinking to myself, am I the only person who thinks about these totally random and odd things sometimes? Like, do you ever think to yourself, how much mucus can you possibly produce? I mean, seriously, my brain is like, is there anything left in your head? Like there's no room for a brain at the moment with all of this mucus that you're blowing, and it's just, oh my God. But you got to get it out. Got to clear your head, quite literally. So getting there slowly but surely. Voice sounding a little bit better today. I appreciate all of the callers yesterday who were my co-hosts. You guys were fantastic. My top students. Just moving my tea over a little bit, who were going out of their way to make your contributions, which of course we appreciate anytime. Call every day. Absolutely love it. And someone said to me that we need to have Mr. Belika. I know I'm always pronouncing his name. Bleaky. One day we'll get it right. That we need to have him as a regular fixture on the show because they quite enjoy. I got to scoot down here in order for you guys to see me with this Burger King banner. I still need to get their guy to justice just a little bit for me. Which, by the way, are we not finished with the prizes? Let me double check to see if he's actually sent me any updated. I think he sent me something else. Anyway, yes. So I must say that you guys really enjoy his contributions. A lot of you give me, some wonderful feedback when he's on. And someone said, can we have him on? Oh, yes, of course, there are new ones that I'm not paying attention to. My apologies. You guys said, can we not have him on more often as a regular fixture, maybe even once a month? And I haven't spoken to him about it, but I'm sure he'd be open to it. It's so interesting and interesting and challenging at the same time to really get people to think outside of the box, because at the end of the day, quite honestly, I've had this idea for a long time about having certain professionals, in particular a lawyer, like a qualified attorney, on the program once a month, once a quarter, whatever, to talk about certain things. Well, you guys know that we do have the recover people who come on and they talk about, what their business is. And, but, I want it to go beyond the scope of just personal injury. There's so much more out there that I think when it comes to the law that people want to know about and would love to have a bit more information about as well. So Mr. Beliki does not practice in this jurisdiction at the moment, but that doesn't mean that he obviously doesn't have a clear understanding of the law. I particularly like the fact that he has a very good understanding of legal drafting, since that's what he actually did here in the Cayman Islands. He worked for government as part of the legal drafting team. And so, of course, that's immensely valuable information that, as you can see on more than one occasion, has, been very, very informative on this program. So good morning. We've got Miss Vanita who's here. She says, happy hump day. Be blessed by, what is by BBC? I think something got cut off there. I'm not sure what that was supposed to mean. BBC actually normally means something else, Miss Vernita. So be careful using these abbreviations, honey chill. Daisy's here. Someone said yesterday that my raspy voice sounded a bit sexy. And then another person's like, oh, you sound like a transgender man. Not quite a woman, not quite a man. And of course, I had to chuckle at that. And I had to chuckle at the sexy one too. That's funny. So what can you do? It's all interesting, is it not? So I went out last night. I know, it's so strange for me to say I've gone out somewhere. But it was very, very interesting. And I've got some stuff to share with you guys about where I was and what I was doing. I feel like I don't go out as often as I used to. When you become a parent, of course, your nights are no longer your own and all this stuff changes. And your routine becomes a routine. Like every night, it's like you rush from, sometimes I have late meetings with clients and stuff like that. And so sometimes it's like a mad rush to try and go pick up Gianna so that I can collect her on time from school and all this sort of stuff. And other times, I can't even get there on time. So I have to message daddy and be like, ugh, he does drop off. So I hate to intrude on his afternoons because he's busy too. We're both busy working professionals. And so I'm like, oh, can you do the pickup today for me? I'm going to be late, whatever. And I can't always drag her along. Some of my clients don't mind, their grandmothers and stuff. And so they're more, accommodating having her tag along, right? But I hate to intrude. And I have to tell you the strange thing. I mean, this is one of those things, but I always think in my head, and maybe this is just me, but you guys can tell me what you think. Morning, Stephen and Robert. Cindy's here. Good morning. Wee Wee and Evelyn also in the house. Miss Joy, tell me what you think, ladies and gents who are fathers. I often think that men in particular are not as tolerant of children, especially when it's not their child. Having said that, I myself is not particularly tolerant of other people's children, although I now have a child. When you're like on the plane and these babies are crying and kids are crying and misbehaving or whatever, you always kind of have this like, oh man, why did I get stuck by this kid kind of a thing, right? And if you've ever had a sick child on a plane, and in fact, as much as I've flown in my life, I hadn't appreciated what the air pressure can really do to you until I think it was last year when I was flying, and I must have had some sort of congestion that I wasn't quite as aware of. And the pain, especially on descent, was so, oh my gosh, it was even hard to describe how painful that was. And I thought to myself, it gave me, through that experience, a little bit of sympathy. Not a little bit, a lot of sympathy towards a baby who doesn't even know what's going on, who would be experiencing something similar or maybe even worse. Because of course, as adults, we know to try to pop our ears and open our mouths and chew, like replicate chewing or whatever. And it was an incredibly painful couple minutes. So I thought, oh my gosh, here I was judging these babies and their parents like, oh, can't you make that baby stop crying? But I always find that women are probably a little more tolerant than men when it comes to this sort of thing. You take your kids out to a restaurant and sometimes they misbehave and you're like, oh my God. And they get in people's way or whatever. I remember when we were in New York, we went to this really nice Wolfgang Puck steakhouse, top of the line steaks and whatever, where your steak alone is like $60 and then or more. And then you get your sides and whatever. So at one point, Gianna had gotten up. And I must say that generally speaking, she's actually really quite well behaved. But she's still a kid, 6-year-olds, they do stuff. So she had gotten up and she was kind of standing, sorry, in the way a little bit. And so this other table, some of the guests were coming in. And so there's a guy who was standing behind her who had to stand up for just a couple seconds. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. He's like, no. Don't worry. I've got kids. I understand. And I feel like when you do have kids, you do understand, you understand a lot more. Now, of course, let's be honest, as parents, we're all tolerant of our own children, probably more than anybody else's children, right? Because we all look at other people. We all judge. Trust me. We all judge other people's kids. And so sometimes, you're sitting there going, oh, why can't you, take some lessons and make your child behave? Am I the only one who's been there? Recently, I was in the company. I'm not going to give too many details about who the child is. Not here. I was in the company of a younger child. And I was thinking to myself, when my daughter was this age, she wasn't this out of control by no stretch of the imagination. Mind you, babies will do stuff. I mean, she's had 2 kind of epic fits that I really recall. One where she was eating her peas, and I thought it was so funny because she's wearing a onesie that was like all white, and she had the peas all over her face and all over the onesie. And child, I was just like, as a parent, you sit there and you go, this too shall pass. And you just accept that it's all very, very temporary. This too shall pass, honey. Have your moment, have your fit. At one point, she even bit her. I can't remember if she bit her tongue or her lip or something epic. I was just like, oh my God. I was like, just find your Zen place right now. Don't yell. Don't you scream, because somehow that's really not going to make the situation any better. So anyway, but still, when we went out places, I always thought that she was relatively like well behaved. Like we never had any major episodes. And so I gotta be honest with you, I do judge a little bit when I see this kind of behavior, because I think, oh wow, this is a parent who's not setting any boundaries here. And you can tell when a child is used to like no boundaries at all. Oh my God. And they throw like epic fits, and it's like a normal thing every single day. Like you say no to them, or not even no. Like, they're meeting a new friend for the first time, and then you have to separate. You have to be like, okay, we have to go now. And then they have this epic fit that's like, you're not used to hearing the word no, and then you see how the parent reacts to the situation. And you're kind of like, no, honey, child, you got to set boundaries, and you got to let this child know that when you say no, you mean no. And all the fits in the world and all the crying in the world isn't going to really do much good. But I find that some children have, and again, I think a lot of it has to do with the tone that has been set from early on. They have the ability to have a fit that it lasts a very, very, very long time. And so, cheers. Lift your teacups this morning and your coffee cups to all parents, my dear, who've been there and who've done that. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then, sometimes I will actually limit my daughter's contact with those children, because I think to myself, although she knows better, I'm going to start giving somebody a look. You do kind of think, Does it rub off? You know, are you fearful that she's going to think, even though she's older than this other child, that that behavior is okay? And thankfully, I do make observations about her behavior, or her comments, I should say, after such an epic incident, because she'll say, oh, let's say the child's name is Diane. She's like, oh, Diane's only 3. She's so young. She just doesn't know any better, does she? And I say, yeah, she clearly doesn't. And, you know, as a parent, you don't want to overstep. Like, no one ever wants to overstep and like parent somebody else's child. Like, I think that is sometimes a little bit rude. But having said that, there are instances when, you know, it has to be done. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, if I'm with the parent, I try to let them take control of the situation. But sometimes I think as parents, maybe we need help from the, you know, extended neighborhood of parents, right? And yeah, sometimes you just need somebody else to pick the child up and to try to help you out. So, you know what gets me a little bit salty though? And this is like a parental instinct, right? I think as parents, we all want to protect, I would hope, all children from harm. But do you ever notice that if it comes down to your kid versus somebody else's kid, there really is no real option there. You know, like, you're going to protect your kid. So even when you see them on the playground and they push your kid down, you're like, "Arr!" You get into this mama bear mode and you almost want to grab the other little kid. And then you have to remind yourself they're only kids. They're going to push each other. They're going to do stuff. It's okay. There's no need to grab somebody's kid and string him up. But I have to tell you, for me, I don't know about y'all, I'm just being honest, the temptation is sometimes there. So again, an experience I had recently where, because of this kid misbehaving, poor Gianna fell down like face first. Luckily, her face didn't hit the ground. And of course, honey child, I was just like glaring at this child like, you need to behave yourself, because now you're causing other people, particularly my Gianna, to fall down. And you and I are going to have some beef if you're not careful. And then it's like, she's a toddler. Ah, my goodness. What a hot mess. Good morning, Nathina. She says, ooh, sexy Sandy. Good morning. Evelyn says, yes, I've had that experience. Felt that my ear was about to explode. Oh my gosh, it's horrible. And boy, people love to travel with babies and kids. Sometimes I think, don't travel with them. You know, I purposely did not travel with Gianna when she was especially young. I think I waited until at least she was a year old. You know, let them enjoy life without having to get on a plane and aggravate other people. Oh my goodness. Morning, Keyman Detailing. Miss Dean is in the house. Jonathan says, how's that working out for parents that control their kids? How's what part working out? It's a struggle, you know, and every child is actually different. So what might work for one child definitely does not work for everyone. And so you've got to, I guess, be fluid even in your parenting approach. You know, a lot of you will know this from having multiple children. So Alejandro says modern parents need to let their kids learn to take risk responsibly. Oh, yes. I think that that's very true, Alejandro. And I think a lot of times as parents, like, we have this overprotective, you know, they call it these days being a helicopter parent, where we're like hovering over our kids a little bit too much, like we're there for everything. So even when they're on the playground, you know, I'm like paying attention and watching, but I remember stay back, 6 feet rule, 10-foot rule, whatever, and let them do their own thing. And quite honestly, It's also how they learn to navigate social situations. Like if you're always there as a parent, like solving fights on the playground and this sort of thing, they'll never really learn how to negotiate with other kids, how to, talk to other children about their feelings or whatever. And so that is really, really important for them to learn that skill as early on as possible. Conflict resolution, because otherwise they just don't even know how to handle certain situations. So, when they're playing, sometimes my daughter wants me, oh, so and so doesn't want me to play with her toy, whatever. And I said, well, did you talk to her about it? Did you tell her how you feel? And I said, remember now, it's a give and take. So you get 5 minutes. It's her toy. So maybe she gets more time. That's the real world, and that's how it is. So, yes. Good morning to Miss Darlene. Good morning, Diamond Princess. So this caller to the program says, my kids know when I start the countdown, don't make me get to 3. Me too, Johnny Chow. I'd be like 1, 1.5, 1 3/4. Sometimes I do a little bit extra to give them time. And this person says, and I do it silently. No one knows. Fingers go 1, then 2, and behavior is corrected instantly. Yes, honey child. We had an earthquake in the Caribbean this morning off of Little Cayman, 4.8 magnitude at 2:26 in the morning. I bet you nobody probably felt that. Everybody was probably asleep. So yeah. Anyway, Jonathan says, I noticed that the only kids that say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, are the kids that get some leather across their backside. Well, that's a lie, Jonathan. I shouldn't say that's a lie. I don't want to call you a liar because that's what I'll say is that's completely wrong. That's misinformation. My daughter has been saying yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and calling people by their proper names and so on for a very long time. In fact, when she was at Tiny Tots and then she went to Montessori. And I remember when she went to Montessori, like, oh my gosh, she's like the best well-mannered kid in her class. And, she's always so, and like I said before, you got to be careful with kids because their peers have a way of rubbing off on them. So if they're around other children who don't say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, then they question why they're doing it. And they start to slip a little bit and you got to be on top of them. So Jonathan, she's never had any leather belt or anything across her backside, but yet, you'll find that she's actually very, very respectful. And it's a matter of showing by example, teaching, reiterating. That's how you actually get it across. Beating a child is, you might think is the only method of instilling good behavior, but it actually isn't. And I don't personally think it's a very effective method. Take it from someone who's had more than her fair share of assings in her lifetime. And at one point, I used to believe that because I think it's a Caribbean mentality. You're not a good parent if you don't spare the child and spare the rod and spoil the child mentality. If you don't beat your child, you're not a good parent. And thank God that I am willing to learn and to be open and to understand things. And thank God I didn't have any kids in my 20s because I think the experience for the child and for myself would have been very, very different. And because I waited, and through the years of waiting, I read a lot. And again, I will always take a knee to the experts because I'm not an expert. And when I read, report after report about the harm that corporal punishment can do to children, I started to reevaluate my own position on this. And then it really occurred to me, why is it necessary? Right? Why is it necessary to beat a child? I think, honestly, it's often done out of frustration and out of the fact that you feel like you don't have any other options, And to me, that's like low, what's the term I'm looking for? Low end thinking, because it requires a degree of creativity to punish a child without ever touching them. Trust me. Touching and beating a child is the easiest thing in the world to do. I'm going to slap you and threatening them and whatever. If you don't do this, I'm going to get my belt. That is the easiest form of punishment. You have to be so much more creative when you've taken that option off the table. When you've taken corporal punishment off the table, you have to be so much more creative. And I might have shared this on the show before, but I find that when you raise a child that doesn't have a sense of people actually get beat, like other kids get beat for stuff and they get spanked or whatever you guys want to call it, you know, when you remove that from their lives, it's so fascinating how they grow up not having a concept of corporal punishment. Now, this sounds really, really weird, but when a child has no yelling and screaming, and I call it chaos, in their home, I can assure you that the child's temperament and their entire outlook on life is totally different. Recently, Gianna did something, and I said to her, I said, you know how lucky it is that you don't get a spanking? She's like, what's that? She does not even conceptually, she doesn't even know what I'm talking about. She's like, a what? What's a spanking? What's a beating? What's an assing? Whatever y'all calling it these days. She has no idea what I'm talking about. She's like, I don't know what that is. And I thought, my God. I tell you guys about the day I pulled my husband's shirt off of him. No, it wasn't a kinky thing. Maybe a little bit. Maybe it was a little bit kinky, but it wasn't meant to be. I know, is Johan in the house? Johan would be here for the kinkiness, honey child. So, you know, yeah. So we have this ongoing joke with him that he likes to wear his undershirts, which he wears undershirts all the time. He likes to wear his undershirts when they long have expired, like they start to have little holes in them. I'm like, first of all, I don't even know how you get holes in your undershirt. But you know, everything has an expiration date. So at some point, the undershirt needs to go in the bin or whatever. Make it, you know, maybe people can donate it and use it for something else. I don't know. So one day we were all sitting on the bed in a room, and I saw these holes that were a little bit too big. And I thought it was a great idea to put my finger in the little hole and just rip it open and rip off his shirt. Oh my God, what the hell did I do that for? This child who never seen anything like this before. And although in the context of Marlon and I was joking about his holy shirts, his shirts are literally full of the Holy Ghost, honey child. This child hadn't seen anything like this. So I didn't think about the impact that it would have on her. So I'm there like ripping his shirt off and laughing about it. She burst out crying because she saw this as an act of aggression and violence. And I was like, oh my God, no. That's not what it was. She's like, what are you doing to my daddy? I was like, oh my God. And you know, to this day, let me tell you how impactful these things are to children. You might not realize it, but just recently again, she's like, remember when I was 4? I don't know how she, listen, I don't know how she remembers. I don't even know if she was actually 4 or 5, but she always, like, she'll say, remember when I was 4? Everything's when she was 4, actually. And then she'll be like, you ripped off daddy's shirt. Why did you do that again? Now she's a little bit more understanding. I was like, no, it was honestly, it was a joke, but daddy had to take her and console her. No, mommy's not hurting me. It's just like an inside joke. And, you know, listen, kids don't always get jokes, right? So even as they start to get a joke, sometimes they'll look at you and be like, is daddy trying to be like, sometimes he'll be the one, he's the joker more than me. And she's like, is he trying to be funny? Is that supposed to be funny? Because she's not quite getting it, but she kind of has a sense that maybe it's funny or it's supposed to be. And I said, yes, it's supposed to be funny. He's just kidding. This Sunday, she scared me. So now she's like, you know, she understands the concept of like frightening you. And so I was in the bathroom and she came around the corner and went, boo. And I was literally, she did catch me off guard. And so I screamed out. I was like, oh my God. And so then I'm like, oh, I'm going to get her back. And so yesterday I came home. She's still home until tomorrow, although she's COVID negative. You know, she's got to stay home for a week. So anyway, I'm at home and I come home And she didn't hear me come inside. So I said, "Ooh, I could hear her talking. Oh, I love vacuuming," she tells our domestic manager. "I love vacuuming." And I hear her pushing the little vacuum down the hallway. And I said, "Oh, yes, this is my time." Oh, where's my, hold on. Let me get my little my voice. Which voice do I want? Hold on. Monster voice. Here we go.
This is my time for revenge.
Revenge in a 6-year-old. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get her. So I just stood there and I'm waiting for her to push. I could hear her pushing the vacuum down the hall. So when she comes around the corner, I go, "Ah, I got you." And she screamed bloody murder. She's like, "Ah." I said, "I got you back." So she started to get little things like that. But yeah, that t-shirt episode, oh my God. I tell you what, I keep thinking, because she asked about it the other day, this is one of those things that she'll be telling adults. Like when she's in therapy at 25, she'll be like, "And I remember when my mom ripped off my dad's shirt." Johan says, because she knows her mama doesn't play and is loco. So Atlas says, "I wasn't spanked that much as a child, and I didn't have a whole pile of restrictions either. And I feel like I turned out okay." I mean, Atlas, this is what I say to people. And this is really to put things in perspective. All of us feel like we turned out okay. Even those of us who probably were abused as kids and got the worst assing of our lives, and it would be categorized as abuse, we sit back and we accept it because culturally that is what has been indoctrinated into us. So we all say that we're okay. Like I've never met really a dysfunctional person that hasn't reached a higher level of elevation that doesn't think that they're okay. No, I'm not saying you're dysfunctional, Alice. I'm just saying everybody thinks they're okay. And that's the wonder of, self-reflection, and sometimes why you need other people to look at you and go, "Honey child, you're not okay." Nathina says, "Well, personally, I traveled a lot with my kids before they were 2. One, because it was free for them. And 2, I knew that when they became 2, the tickets weren't free anymore." So I utilized the freeness with them. Plus, I was very old school, and my children always knew what each look stand for me. So they knew that it was not happening. And don't even make me start counting, because they know if I have to reach that measure, it's not going to end well for them. Mm-hmm. Alejandra says, "I can agree to an extent that they just not some kids." What? I can agree to an extent that just how some kids that enjoy saying it is to get the respect, though, naturally. Alejandra, I think something's missing from that. Good morning to Maria. Athena says, "Oh my God, pinches was it for me. I don't really have to beat them, but that granny pinch never fail." I have never pinched my daughter either, because pinching can be very painful, girl. I have been pinched. I was like, that, I don't want nobody pinching me, child. I'm like, what are you pinching me for? Jonathan says, "Old school tactics is the only way." I'm talking them bad kids. How does a child become labeled as a bad child? You think children are just born as bad children? They're born a bad seed? Oh, come on, Jonathan. It's a lot of bad parenting is really what's going on. And by the time they are, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you got a challenge on your hand to try to turn that child around. Good morning, Miss Iva. Miss Iva, how is our mango tree looking this year? Miss Athena says, "True. Mine was telling mine to go outside in the sun, and they hated that. They preferred staying inside and playing games." Jonathan says he's not talking about beating a child every day. Neither am I, but I don't think it's necessary. I've not come across a situation yet where I thought it was necessary. Even if a child is in immediate danger, you just need to remove the child from the situation. You don't need to beat them. Athena said, I studied mine the way that they studied me, always a step ahead of them. Oh, yes. Point taken, because, kids think that they always got one up on you. Child, maybe trying it. Even my daughter, I was like, I said, mommy's a little bit older than you and a little bit wiser than you. And she's like, how old? Oh my gosh. You guys see me alternating between hot and cold. I don't even know if that's a good idea for my sinuses. But anyway, sometimes I need the soothing tea. Other times I need the water. So Diamond Princess says, well, I would get beaten for everything, even when it was not necessary. I decided that I wouldn't beat mine, and my 19-year-old and 16-year-old grew up on me correcting them without the belt. However, one thing I told them was that they will get beaten if they lie to me. Whenever I correct them, I would ask them if they understood what they did. So that's interesting. So you said you never beat them. Well, you corrected them without the belt. Does that mean that they never lied to you? Or you just never enforced it when you caught them in a little lie? Because all kids will lie. But I like your position about lying, because I often say that to my daughter as well. I said, listen, we do things. We make poor decisions. I don't like to call these things a mistake, but I say, we make poor choices and poor decisions. And you get caught doing the wrong thing, and you got to fess up to it, and you will be punished. You've got to take accountability for it. But when you lie about it, then that's going to make it really, really worse. And so there will be added punishment on top of the punishment for the lies. And so, yeah, I've caught her in lies. And, other people say, oh, she's not being honest about this. And I tell her, listen, one thing about the truth is it always has a way of being revealed, And so just start with the truth, honey child. Make your life easier and make my life easier by just telling the truth. So Soka says that good old slave mentality is alive and well. No, it's not a Caribbean thing. Children are pound half to death the world over. Religious extremists in the U.S. beat their children daily. Recently read a comment on Facebook where a lady said that her and her siblings were beaten daily as if it was part of life. They found comfort in consoling each other. How sad to have such horrible parents. I do think you're right. I mean, I talk about it in the Caribbean context because I think as Caribbean people, we still very much are stuck in that mode. I'm aware that it does happen, in other cultures and stuff as well. But I must say that I think Black people and Caribbean people and other cultures as well really struggle with how to treat children properly, and not just the beating of children, the physical correction of children, even just having respect for their space and respect for just allowing them to have an opinion and to talk and express themselves. I find so many people like, oh, you're a child, just shut up. Like, you don't have an opinion. I'm like, no, that's not right. Allow children to talk. And listen, when you have a daughter that's from me, well, she can probably talk plenty in any event. So it is what it is. And I have to accept that maybe that's a little bit of a genetic component, that she just, she started talking early and she can say plenty words, and, so let her talk. And I've even been around family members who would say to her, okay, just hush or whatever. And I said, no, 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 honey child. You're not going to be telling my child to hush. Not in my presence and not in my household. And if the child has an opinion, it doesn't mean that she can express it at every moment. Sometimes you have to say, hold on a second. Remember, adults are having a conversation. Adults are talking. You need to say, excuse me, may I say something? You have to have manners. But she's entitled to her opinion, and she's entitled to her feelings and to sharing that. So I think that as a whole, Soka, Caribbean people, African American people are very, very, they like to call it old school, right? Where they treat children as some kind of subclass human. And so, that includes corporal punishment and how we talk to them and how we yell and scream at them. And, I want to encourage people, quite honestly, to even reconsider how you talk to your children. Like, I see it all the time. Like, oh my God, sometimes the stuff that I hear people saying to children and the screaming and yelling, and I look at them and I'm like, how do you sustain that level of negative energy around a child and not think that that's going to have a real impact on them. So Alejandro says, although law enforcement will only give you so many verbal warnings before they throw you to the ground and beat you with a baton, so maybe a spank here or there after a few warnings is fair practice. KK says, Sandy, where are you getting your blouses from? I love them. Oh, thank you. Sounds like you won't go shopping with me, honey child. So I can teach you some strategy. A lot of washing does that, especially if you use bleach. Washing, what? Alejandro, what are we talking about? Washing does what? So Soka says to Jonathan, why are they bad to begin with? No guidance. I think that's it. People think that children can self-raise themselves as babies and whatever. They don't set boundaries or anything early on. And then when the child starts to become a little bit more problematic, all of a sudden, oh, they're labeled as a bad kid. I struggle with me saying that no kid, and I know that this technically isn't true when I say no kid, because I don't like to use these absolute terms. But let me put it this way. The vast majority of children are not born genetically predispositioned to bad behavior. Some are, and we don't have to get into that conversation today, but that's a very small portion of the population. And there's good scientific evidence about those kids. And it is really, really concerning because you recognize that certain traits like narcissism and stuff, people are actually predisposed to. But, So Catherine is ready for the cuddle story. Oh, geez. She wants to talk about juicy cuddles. All right. So Soka says she thanks her lucky stars every time I hear children screaming that I didn't have to deal with anything like that. PTL, what's PTL stand for? But I know the difference with just a tantrum and a child crying because they're hungry, thirsty, etc. And I've confronted many a parent. Johan says he's here for the drama today. Johan, you can't have drama every day of your life. My God. Then the drama gets mundane and it doesn't have the same. Oh, praise the Lord. Thank you for that. I was like, what the hell is PTL? Praise the Lord. Oh, yes. Oh, speaking of terms, I learned a Honduran term yesterday. Oh, God. I'm not going to use it right now. I'm going to use it contextually when it makes sense. But y'all stay tuned and look out for me dropping. Oh, God. Now I got to try to remember what it is. Yes, I remember. Okay, so look out for when I drop the Spanish terminology on y'all today. I'm not going to do it right now, though, but I will do it when it's appropriate. All right. Jonathan, talking about cash for cuddles. Diamond says the 19-year-old has, however, she was in high school and I knew that she was lying. Honestly, I really got mad, but I had to walk away from her. Then she would come and apologize. I told her it's important to be honest. And if she tells a lie, I cannot defend her of something if something should happen. Tracy, good morning, says it's illegal to hit a child in New Zealand. And funny enough, New Zealand seems to have a very good reputation for people who are, by and large, law-abiding, The vast majority of people who were incarcerated were actually hit or beaten as a child. So y'all need to look at the evidence. The evidence does not support the position that corporal punishment is the way to go. So good morning, Ms. Dean. She says, I'll forever say this in particular. Pastors or parents don't just preach the sermon. Live it regarding parenting. Children are best copycats. So just live an example life for children. Thank you so much. Couldn't have said it any better. That really is the crux of it. Because your mouth can say anything, but your children watch your behavior. So buenos dias to Alba. She says, adios, te bendiga. ¿Cómo estás, corazón? Estoy muy bien, gracias. Soka's here. Not sure if you've heard of Dr. Stacy Patton. Is it Patton or Patton? Love her take on corporal punishment. She's an award-winning journalist, and her book is entitled Spare the Kids. I must check it out. Maybe we'll add that to our reading list. Instead of spare the rod, you spare the kids. All right. Okay. All right. So let me tell you what I was doing last night. So I love to support young Caymanians who are into positivity and who go about their business trying to do something good with their lives. So I had the opportunity to go to the opening of this Ironshore Studios. They had a grand opening event last night. The reception was at the Lobster Pot, which, by the way, big shout out to the Lobster Pot staff. Amazing hors d'oeuvres, and they just rolled out the red carpet. It was like, hey, Miss Sandy. So big shout out to them. But I want to share a little snippet with you guys of what I was doing last night because, listen, there's not a whole lot that impresses me. I feel like sometimes, especially when it comes to secondhand knowledge, I'm like, seen it, been there, done that, have access to it. But there are times that I am genuinely like, whoa, can I touch that machine? That is so awesome. That is so cool. Oh my God. Last night, for me, it was like a fusion of technology, music, right? And production, and everything wound up into one. So Ironshore Studios is a production studio where you can go and do like, world-class recording, commercials, people can go songs, whatever it is that you need to record. And this place is amazing. So there's a reception with some opening remarks. I want to share that with you guys. And then they also had tours of the facilities. So of course, who better if you're trying to put on display your world-class recording studio? What better group to have than Swanky playing live? Oh my God, I love me some Swanky. And the quality of what they were able to do in that environment was just amazing. So sit back and have a look at this. By the way, I see some WhatsApp comments coming in. So let me just read some of these. This person says, what is this? An accident at the Hurley's roundabout this morning? Oh, good Lord. Slow down, y'all. Yep. People coming from South Sound can't get through to Hurley's. So if you're wondering why traffic is probably starting to back up, that's why it happened right before 8 o'clock this morning. Thank you. Someone says that ripping off the shirt sounds like what my husband? It says what my does all the time. You can never have a shirt or piece of clothing with an extra hole in it. She always has a quirk rip for you. A quick rip for you. Domestic manager. I love it. Sounds so much more civil and respectful. Thank you. All right. So we have video footage of
once again accident. Came on neighbor.
All right, hold on. Let me show this to you guys. Do y'all not just love how we get everything like in real time? Everybody's like, Miss Sandy, it's what go on right now. Breaking news. Look, yeah. All right. So accident. Let's hear this gentleman's contribution. Hold on. Appreciate the video.
My road once again accident. Came on neighbor.
No, sir.
Tragic accident. It seems everybody's okay.
Okay.
But car is not. Once again, my road.
Big up yourself. Big up yourself this morning. Thank you for the live reporting.
Right in front, Early's.
Yes, I was going to say, always give the location. Very good. Thank you so much. So, thank you, young man, for that, for that contribution. Appreciate it. He also sent a voice note. Let's hear what the voice note says.
Please.
Hold on.
Right in front, Scotia.
Right in front, Scotia. All right.
Said Early's.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate the live reporting because, that's what makes CMR so special is that we get it live and direct. What a hot mess. Can y'all please be careful on the roadways? Anyway, morning, Miss Stephanie. sit back and listen to this. There was a couple speeches. This isn't very long, and then I've got a couple clips of music and stuff for you that I want you guys to watch as well.
Thank you, Mr. Oldie, for that short and sweet introduction. Thank you. So Ironshore Studios will play an important role in nurturing and growing Cayman's musical talent, as well as helping to preserve Caymanian arts of yesteryear. This poses a bright future for Cayman culture. It is my pleasure to now introduce the Honourable Bernie Bush, Minister for Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, to share a few remarks in this regard. Please welcome Minister Bush.
Thank you, Madam MC. I'd also like to recognize the former Minister, Mr. Arden McLean, here as well. Good evening, invited guests. It is always a pleasure to see new initiatives which benefit our communities. And the launch of Ironshore Studios is one of those initiatives. Ironshore Studios has been created to provide local musicians and producers access to world-class technology, equipment, and expertise right here in the Cayman Islands. This studio will provide state-of-the-art equipment and will allow existing and up-and-coming artists a place to produce music whose quality stands up to the global competition. This means we can further develop local musicians and the music industry right here in Grand Cayman. Ironshore's group's goal is to grow Cayman's music offering from within to help the Cayman Islands gain the recognition it deserves for musical excellence. This is exciting news for our musicians. And it comes at the right time because right now we're examining to put in laws for our musicians to get their copyrights and also get their payback from radio stations and everything playing their music. But this is more than just a space for local musicians and creatives looking to produce music on island. This space also offers businesses a space to record high quality radio ads and things like that. Quality radio. Already seen collaboration with Gimme Story, which provided storytellers with the opportunity to record their stories, helping to promote and preserve their works, which is something very important to our Ministry of Heritage and Culture. The studio has also hosted a group of music students from John Gray High School as part of its efforts to provide internship and professional development opportunities for local talent. The ministry looks forward to seeing these ongoing partnerships, and we wish Ironshore great success. Thank you all very much. God bless.
Thank you, Minister Bush, for your kind words in support of Ironshore Studios. Now, Ironshore Studios' capabilities are world-class, and this presents a huge opportunity for the Cayman Islands as a destination for music and audio production. Please welcome the Honourable Kenneth Brown, Minister for Tourism and Transportation, to share a few words in this regard.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I want to say that for the first time meeting Mr. Oldie, he's a very short man with words. Nothing to do with his personal height, though. It is truly an honor to be here, and I must say, with this amazing sunset, I can't help but be inspired by the moment and what this family is doing, particularly with this studio, Ironshore. What this studio will do for our tourism products is attract some of the best in the world in respect to this industry, and those who are here locally as well. For too long, our Caymanian artists had to travel overseas and deal with all the expenses of hotels and flights and all that. Now they can do this right at home. And I'm so proud of the Ironshore company for having two particular labels, one focusing on the local talent, as well as we expand our industry in respect to music, film, and entertainment, which is a part of our SPS with the PAC administration. So I'm truly happy to be invited to this. As you heard my colleagues say, we're making some amendments to some legislation that will allow musicians to want to record in the Cayman Islands. And the top level studio that we're being offered here is going to do some great things for the Cayman Islands, and I'm just glad that Caymanians will also be the beneficiaries of it. So on behalf of the park administration, Ms. Oldie and Mr. Oldie, congratulations and thank you so much for doing what you do. I am excited to be a part of this, and I look forward to all the benefits it will offer our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Brian. I think we can all agree this is a very exciting prospect for the Cayman Islands. So now, before the live music and the studio tours begin, I would like to introduce Ironshore CEO and co-founder, Mr. Nathan McLean, to explain just how the studio tours are going to work this evening. Please welcome Mr. McLean.
Evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Minister Bush and Minister Brian, for your support and kind words. I'd just like to firstly, elaborate a little bit more on what they said and speak to the goals of Ironshore Group. Our goals are to help really promote and preserve Caymanian culture and help aspiring young musicians develop and support that in every way we can. And to that end, we have a few partnerships with CNCF through the Gimme Story program, the Cayman Arts Festival, and multiple music departments of schools that we're actively developing. And we're excited to see what those relationships will bear. And yeah, before we kind of just let you guys enjoy that evening, I'd just like to kind of give you a run of what we're going to be doing. You'll get a chance to enjoy our studio and kind of do a little tour. We ask that when you're ready to meet at the entrance of the Lobster Pot, where our team will be able to take you in groups to kind of tour the facility. And you'll also be able to enjoy some live music from the likes of Swanky Kitchen Band, who are in live room A of the Ironshore Studios, and Dan Ebanks, who's represented by Everheart Records. And yeah, I really do hope that you guys all enjoy the evening.
All right, folks. So that was one video clip. We've got more. Ms. Dean is enjoying it. She says, "Thanks for taking me there, Sandy. What a beautiful backdrop. Love it." Good morning, Miss Ethel. She's also enjoying the beautiful view. Yes, this was Lobster Pot, of course, right there in the waterfront, and we were all able to enjoy the sunset and see a few of the ships there in the background that were still very much here. So I got a couple more video clips for you. Just sit back and relax. This is a video of they had in Lobster Pot, like in the reception area, they actually had cameras. They have cameras in the studio. And this was Swanky Band, who was across the street. So this new studio is at the top of the Sagicor building, and they were across the street actually performing. So we could sit there and watch them do their live performances before we went over for the tours. And so this was the video of that sort of TV screen. There's multiple TV screens. And then, of course, we had to get in the studio. So our next step was to go over as part of it. They did it in groups of, I think, about 10. And so we joined a group and went over and actually toured the studio across the street. Amazing. We do have the live stream on our Facebook channel if you want to go and have a look at, the full walkthrough. But again, here's some snippets of Swanky, snippets of us actually being in the studio, in the production room, and so forth as well.
I hang my head anytime.
I just tell you guys that I don't know who else was sitting here tapping their foot and just having a fantastic time with that selection. It's just, somebody said what happened to the radio broadcast. I don't know. You guys weren't hearing that on radio? I don't know. But yes, I mean, I'm here tapping my feet and enjoying it. Oh, Jonathan, try and hush. Can somebody please take Jonathan and make him redo his Cayman culture segment? Because anytime we do a segment in Cayman culture, this boy has no appreciation of his own culture. That's all I'm going to say. Jonathan, you need an immersion course in Cayman culture. So listen, I am here tapping my feet. It's very blues, gives me, somebody said Louisiana feel. Yes, that kind of bluesy music. It's just, you can't help but want to tap your feet. And what is the instrument called that is the grater? That's the closest thing that I can come to it. Somebody says, yes, I can hear you. That was awesome. Oh, I was a bit confused there by that last comment from that person. Anyway, listen, everybody, it mightn't be your cup of tea. It mightn't be, your music, but trust me, when you see how they collaboratively work together to produce these songs and the rhythm and, just blues and everything put together, I think it's amazing. And I actually love that genre of music. I've got a whole selection of bluegrass style music in my personal collection. But it's called the grater. It's a grater. Yeah. But listen, even without that one instrument, you could see how different it is. Even without the harmonica, Mr. Edie, it's just each person has a contribution that makes the ensemble perfect. You've got Benil Miller, who's there on, is that a bass guitar? I'm not great with musical instruments, but it's just, I love to see them perform. And this studio gives them the opportunity to perform in such an amazing way. Someone says, I'm working on what does this person say? This person says, thanks, Sandy. I'm working on an eye opener for Jonathan on our culture. Yeah, Jonathan, you missed a couple lessons, honey chow. He says, I'm going to pretend it was bad audio. Try and behave. To experience it live, I mean, I thought we did a pretty good job capturing it there, but to experience it live, there probably isn't anything quite like it. Now, check out the in-studio tours. Have a look at this. Look at this equipment. I mean, look at the length of the equipment, the board, I'll call it, behind this guy. And then you're going to see some of the servers and stuff in another video clip here in a second. But let me assure you, this is amazing. Look at this. I was in awe. Oh my God. Right? This is like amazing. Yes. And then Swanky was outside. They've got the soundproof double panel rooms. They've got an assistant engineer, the young man here that you're going to see in the black that's speaking, K Mannion, by the way. And then they've got instruments. I guess we're going to have them on the show to kind of explain the business concept. But they have instruments there, from guitars to drums to different stuff. So I'm guessing when you rent studio time, you get access to like equipment and stuff as well. They have like a proper reception, waiting and sitting area. It has been beautifully done. So big shout out to Nathan McLean and to his partner, Jacob Oldie. I mean, no expense was obviously spared with the setup of this recording studio. And by the way, for those of you who don't get it, this is probably the best recording studio in the Caribbean right now. I mean, there are people who are like, oh, I've been to recording studios all over the world, and this is top notch. So check it out. I mean, this is amazing.
He is the assistant engineer to the studio. And if you have any questions, he'll be happy to.
Yes, I love that he's a young K Mannion. All right.
Even have vintage stuff from like the 1940s.
Yes.
Like tube amps and stuff. Yeah, we have one of the
Check out the equipment. So we got speakers and all sorts of cabling and yeah, that's me and my cough, sorry. Guitars and string instruments, and it's all there, trust me. So they've got like a couple different like recording areas, so you can go in the recording booth behind him and actually do some singing. Now look at what powers all of this. Look at this. Whoa. And it's so nice how they did, because on the other side, if you're like sitting in the sofas, you don't see all of the kind of like server and hardware equipment.
It was a well-built facility. Got a whole band right there, and we can have a lovely conversation. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to turn down the talk, but yeah.
But look at when he turns them up in the studio. Listen how clean they sound.
It's gonna be all right.
Well, there's some reverb on the vocals. You got a little on the sax.
So you can see through the glass pane. It's double glass pane for soundproofing, but you can actually see them. So if you have a group that's having to perform and be recorded, this is exactly how it would go. But I mean, check out the hardware that powers it all. Absolutely amazing. So I gotta tell you, listen, whether you're a musically inclined person or not, this is an amazing opportunity to put the Cayman Islands on the map yet again for this world-class studio. And I think that, go by, get a tour. I'm sure they'll give you a tour. It is just absolutely beautiful. And I was super, super impressed. So yes, congratulations to Nathan McLean, Elaine's son. And which one is his father now? I always get these brothers confused. His father is Mac. Yes. So that would be Elaine and Mac. Congratulations to both of them. I know that they are so incredibly proud of their son. And of course, Miss Oldie, congratulations to her as well with her son, Jacob. And this is a partnership. So I don't know any of the details, Virginia, about the price of recording, but like I said, we'll invite them on the program and they can perhaps tell you guys a bit more about how to reach out to them for those types of questions to be answered. So Al is in the house. Good morning, Al, artiste extraordinaire and photographer. Says Cayman Kitchen Band music is underrated. I mean, I personally love it. I could sit there under a cool coconut tree, some breeze blowing through my hair, give me my coconut water or something in my hand, and I'm good to go. Vanessa says she wants some tequilas in her hand. All right, girl. Magdalene says, Al, we got to have a few sessions at the studio. We've got to have a few sessions at the studio soon. Yes. I mean, get out there and enjoy this beautiful music. So Alejandro says, I went to school with this guy. Is it Jamal? I don't know if he spells his name right. He wasn't my favorite friend, but I understand him. Well, that's life, honey child. Not everybody has to be your cup of tea, but just let them do their thing. All right. So beautiful. Again, I felt honored to have been there last night and obviously to be a part of, the event. And I want to congratulate those two young men and all of their supporters and backers, because as you guys know, it takes a village. Anytime you want to do something, a business or whatever, it is, not often that you're going to be doing it completely on your own. Whether you have the support of a spouse who gives you just the time to be able to stay up into the wee hours of the morning and, commit to it, work your plan and so on. You have to be grateful to those people. And a lot of sacrifices have definitely been made along the way as well. So congratulations to both of them. And again, it's called Ironshore Studios. So I'm really, really happy to see this. And I feel like, when we have Caymanians, no shade to to our friend there. What's his name? Frank Shillings. But when you have Caymanians who are more involved in the process and who are part of the ownership and the management, I feel like it's something that's going to have a bit more longevity. So there you go. Yeah, world class. All right. Mhm. Okay, so let's move on and talk about what most of you are probably here for this morning. Your cuddles. Mm-mm. Oh, sorry. All right. Cuddling for cash, honey chow. Luis, my apologies. Miss Morna says, I love the kitchen man. Luis says, this is so important as a musician. I really want to visit and find out more. Fantastic. And yes, we're going to be, like I said, inviting them on to tell us a bit more about it. Miss Darlene says, congrats to these young Caymanians and partners. And Jonathan says, I guess Hopscotch Studios will be completely done for soon. Well, I don't know that is the case. And to be honest, I've never even been to Hopscotch Studios, but there's always something for everyone, folks. And so, maybe for some artists, I mean, there was a lot of musicians there last night. Maybe, Hopscotch will continue to be their choice. I don't know, but this offers you a wide range of the latest technology. And it's not just about, local artists. This will bring in regional artists who will want, like I said, I, have heard that this could very well be the best recording studio in the entire Caribbean. So you've got regional artists that will want to come in and utilize the facility. It's conveniently located in the waterfront. So, you come in, bam, you do your recording session. You can stay a few days if you wish. If you're just here for your recording session, you can be in and out. Now we've got those direct flights to California. So who knows? Someone might want to kill two birds with one stone, coming here on vacation, and then turn around and record half of their album in the Cayman Islands as well. So, there's always progress to be made. And of course, we are very, very happy again that these are Caymanian men, young men that are involved in this initiative with the support of their families. So congratulations again to them. All right. Yeah, because the other recording studio that I was telling you about, the one that Frank opened up, well, that was more of that wasn't so much, I think they had a recording studio component to it, but it was more like him and his company, I don't know who these people were supposed to be producers for young Caymanian artists. That was the idea. And that unfortunately is no longer around. They sold off all the equipment and everything. And so, and there's a lot of Caymanians out there in the space who, I know some people who bought their equipment and they're now renting, offer equipment rental business. And listen, I love to see young entrepreneurs doing their thing. And even if you are an artiste, you still have an entrepreneurial spirit, an element to you. This is an example of there's so many different elements and facets to what you can do. So Perla, good morning. Jonathan, Al says, my opening night is on the 24th of February at the National Gallery. Hopefully Swanky Band can play and keep you posted. Yes, let me know. I've been meaning, by the way, to make a visit to the National Gallery. From last year, we've been trying to arrange it. And I did see Miss Natalie there last night. She's like, I'm still waiting for you. And I'm like, I'm still coming. So I'm hoping this month, I said February for sure. Every time I would book an appointment, oh God, something would come up, but I got to really get there. And so I might have to make 2 trips, Al, because the 24th is later in the month, but I think I want to go before then. But yes, I'd like to see some of your latest work. I mean, as you guys know, Al has a studio right in town as well. And he's an amazing artist that does all sorts of different things. All right. So thank you, Perla. She says Cayman music is refreshing and calming. Yes, get a cup of coconut water and enjoy it by the beach. Here's Jonathan hoping that he can get Rihanna here. You never know. Alejandro says there's lots of studios in Cayman, but just not state of the art, but works just as well, in my honest opinion. It's hard to explain these things sometimes, but having access to the right equipment when you are a recording artist is like, it's just night and day. I'm not a recording artist, but I have access to some elements of, to be able to pull this show off. Like I have a board, Rodecaster. They make some professional level stuff, but a little bit more on the high end consumer end. But having a proper microphone like this Shure microphone makes a difference. And if I was using some other like there are ways to level up. And I think to people who don't have necessarily the knowledge and a good ear, you can't always hear the things that, like, if I remove a pop filter, all of a sudden you hear my hisses a little bit more. And listen, if I had more knowledge, this board is amazing, and there's a lot of things on this board that I never use because it's way above my level of understanding and requirements, really. But to have a board that has apex processing and I can do things with my different input. Listen, having the right equipment, if you're not in that world, you just don't understand it. There's no way that you can produce the same quality product with inferior, and I don't really necessarily like that word, but it's probably the most appropriate word, inferior equipment. It's just night and day. And this whole world of recording artists, I mean, like I said, I don't really get into it. I mean, I only try to get the equipment that I absolutely need, although Marlon would not disagree. He would not agree. He's like, she's getting all the kind of equipment that she doesn't need. But it really, listen, equipment can make a world of difference. Believe me. Anyway, all right, Jonathan, here you go. Cash for Cuddles. Are you ready? So I first saw this, people were sending me this, I think it was, I don't know if they were, I can't remember if they were sending me the website or if it was an EK, somewhere people were seeing it. And they were sending me this thing where, oh, you pay $100 for like an hour of cuddling or something. I don't even know what it is. And I thought to myself, at first I thought it was a joke. And I was like, oh, that's funny, kind of. But I mean, I've seen these things in places like Japan, where their culture is so like workaholic. You don't even have time for a relationship. So you can rent dogs by the hour. You can rent a spouse by the hour. You can rent a date, like just somebody to sit down and eat with. And then you don't have to commit to them in any way, shape, or form. So the concept isn't foreign in that sense. But I thought it was just somebody who was putting up like something a bit humorous and funny. Well, little did I know, this is actually a thing. It's a business model. And you know what? Good for them. If there's a market out there, and I don't know if there is, yeah, okay. Why not? Go, knock yourselves out. From a business perspective, I question if this is going to be a profitable business. I don't know. So let me ask you a serious question now. 936-BOBO is the telephone number. How many of you would be open to paying someone for a little bit of cuddling time? A hug, a cuddle. I don't know what you want to call it. But apparently, this is a new business in the Cayman Islands. And we posted something about it because you guys know that Beto, oh God, Beto's crazy. He makes me laugh a lot of times, and he is He can tune it down sometimes though, but he's like, what kind of foolishness is this? Using the F word. And I can't believe somebody gave these people a business license and yada, yada, yada. Well, I'm assuming like any other business in this country, somebody had an idea. The business licensing department does not care about the viability of your idea. That's not what they're there for. As long as it's not illegal, it's not trading in illegal goods and whatever, meets some minimum requirements depending on the nature of the business. Some things they require police reference for, or they might have certain restrictions from planning or DOE or whatever. As long as it meets those requirements, I honestly don't think that they look too carefully at what it is that you're offering. Now, of course, some people were insinuating that is this more than just a cuddling business? And I, don't want to necessarily go down that road because at the end of the day, if we don't know, then we don't know. Okay. So if they say all we're doing is cuddling, okay, well, all right then. Let's get our cuddles on. So somebody's calling me. Which phone is that that's ringing? I hear a phone ringing, but hold on. I'm trying to see. Oh, yes, it's this one. Hello, Alejandro. Are you up for a cuddle? Would you pay for a cuddle?
I wouldn't pay for a cuddle, but I'd definitely get paid for cuddling.
So hold on a second. You want them to hire you to be a cuddler?
Hire? I'm the businessman here. Here's the thing. When I was in California, they have a lot of crazy things going on in California, and I actually like it. Mm-hmm. Right? And I think that the business of cuddling for cash is a really nice business because there's a lot of people out there that I believe that do not have a lot of moral support.
Aw. Okay.
Yeah, I believe it because sometimes even to family members, like, they have these specific family members that maybe they just do not like company at all. But then it's not like they're begging for company. But if any company comes around, they're there. They're there to listen to whatever you gotta say. Sometimes they want to say so many things. So it mightn't even be cuddling. Maybe you might need a cuddle. But then there's also more of a support inside of it because maybe the people might be like, oh yeah, well, you guys cuddle. What is the reason for the cuddling? Is it sexual? Is it moral support? Like what I said, mainly it's moral support. A lot of people that want to cuddle, they have dogs and cats for the same reason.
That's true.
But you can talk to the animals and they don't respond back.
Yes. Is that the best kind of cuddle? Somebody who doesn't really respond back, you just hug them. I mean, they respond. Yeah. I mean, the thing I like about a dog or a cat is they'll just lie there, but they respond in their own way, especially dogs. They have a way of showing affection to you. And sometimes, have you ever had a dog that will walk up to you and put their head on your lap? Or sometimes they even nudge your hand because they want you to pat them on the head or to give them a little bit of a cuddle. So I feel
sometimes they need it too, Sometimes they need it too. Yeah. That's why I like the cats, to be honest with you. I like cats more than dogs, although I love dogs as much. But the cats, they don't even beg for any cuddling. Sometimes they just sit there. You got to pick them up and cuddle them. And then they'll just stay there with you until they get annoyed and they walk off. And that's what I like about them. Is like, okay, you had enough, boss. Yeah, you just stick with yourself now. I see that you're all right. You're scratching me a little bit too rough now.
That's funny. All right. Well, thanks for your contribution on this topic.
All
right. Good. I do hear a little bit of feedback and I wasn't sure. I'm gonna actually unplug this phone and just plug it back in. I'm not sure what was causing that little bit of static in that last call. But let's just reconnect here. So, all right, the question of the moment is, what do you think about this cuddling business? He says that he'll provide a cuddle. He's a cuddler. He loves the idea. He thinks it's fantastic. How many of you are big time cuddlers? And would you pay for a cuddle? I mean, I guess there's a concept that if you, for whatever reason, is not getting enough cuddling in your life, that, hey, no shame in that. You might have to pay somebody to do it for you. A hug. Now, listen, I saw a video. It's so interesting. Before this cuddling conversation came up, I saw a video on YouTube where a guy was standing there. I felt like I want to do this in Cayman. Now listen, it's a little bit crazy, but it's also not, right? He was standing up in a street corner somewhere in America, really busy street corner, and says, "Do you need a hug? I'm just here if you need a hug." And there were people who read his sign. Some of them were like, okay, this is weird. Other people walked, like they passed him and saw the sign and was like, oh yeah. They walked back and they hugged him. And oh my God, some people you could tell really just needed somebody to hug. And then they started crying and they started getting so emotional. And he's like, what's going on? And, some people are like, oh my God, I've been so depressed and, this and that, or I lost a loved one and I haven't had anybody to just give a hug to. This is a thing. Like, I'm just like, I don't know. Soka says, no, sir, don't want no strangers touches. So listen, if I stood in town with a sign that said free hugs, how many people do you think would hug me? I feel like we need to do this experiment. We can set up a little tripod and I'll stand there. Well, it's kind of hot out there, honey child, but I'll stand there for like an hour with my sign and the sign will just say free hugs. You think anybody would hug me? I'm betting I could probably get a few hugs. I'm thinking I'm going to do this, I'm going to try this. This is like a social experiment. How many people would walk by and hug me versus how many people wouldn't? Oh, is this about the hug website? Somebody said. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning, Sandy. I don't know much about what the hugging. I mean, I like hugs. I mean, naturally. But you know what? I am a part of back in UK call. It's a service that for people to sign up to call people that is usually with the Mind organization, mental health, and then shut-ins and so forth. So that is so awesome because they connect you with people that are lonely, and you call them whatever day you choose to call. So people outside sponsor you to call, not you the person, the organization, because they get the benefit of the money, But then you call older people, sometimes they're younger people, so you really don't know who you're going to call that particular day. But sometimes you can feel through the phone when you touch someone because it may be not a hug, just a virtual hug, but they're so happy to have you call because there are people that never gets a call, never have anyone to visit, and they're so lonely. So they sign up to whatever organization. I guess there's a couple of them. The particular one that I do is Mind, which is with mental health and shut-ins or, things like that. But I can see it working. I mean, I naturally love to hug, to be honest with you. And if you're in a Cuban background or Latin, Spanish, whatever, people like to hug and kiss. So that's a normal thing. But I think you should try that. I think you should try that and see how much you'll be very, very interested. And I do remember watching one video as well where it was a colored guy there and he was in some town center, like you said, and he was just say, "Can I give you a hug?" He would go to train stations and he would go to the airport. "Can I give you a hug?" And it was amazing how many people really accepted and, like you said, break down to hug him. So I think that would be nice for you, Sandy. I think you can
I should do it.
you'll get a lot of hugs. I think you'll get a lot of hugs.
Okay.
I honestly.
All right.
Try it.
I'm gonna try it. Yes. I think I might do this.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much, caller. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Okay, good. Bye-bye.
And there's some truth to what that caller said about sometimes affection being perceived at the very least as a cultural thing. Italians are very like mwah, 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 mwah. Europeans, when they meet you, want to kiss on each cheek and all kind of stuff. So yeah, I think some people culturally are more huggers and embrace you, not just a handshake, even when they meet you as a total stranger. So this person says, good morning. With how the law is after you, they would trump up some charge for you. Please don't do it. Laughing out loud. Oh God. Is there an offense of requesting unsolicited affection in public? 5 years jail time. Oh God, who knows? That's funny though. So Miss Sandra says, yes, they will hug you. Juliet says, I would. Ms. Marta says, I saw that Sandy. He only wanted to give you free hugs. Yes. I think I might do this experiment. Oh God, Jonathan. Gabby says, you're too well known, Sandy. So you think people wouldn't hug me because they feel like they know who I am? Or maybe I'd get more hugs than usual. Perla says, I'm a cuddler, but a hot one too. If you're cold, I'll warm you up. Perla, what exactly does that mean? I'm a little bit concerned about that one. Everton says, good morning, Sandy. As sweet as you are, yes, sir. You get the most hugs in this world. You'd break the Guinness World Record book for getting the most hugs. I wonder if that is such a thing. I wonder if there's a world record for the number of hugs in a given hour or something like that. Al says, hugging is great and so relaxing. Yes. When you cuddle with the right person, it releases like endorphins and you like that person more, I think, just by hugging them as well. It's like you get an actual brain reaction to people when you hug them. Alejandra says that's an advantage for her, that I'd get more hugs. I think it might be. So Perla enjoys a cat cuddle. I love dogs. I'm not too into cats. Like Alejandro pointed out, they're kind of like hit or miss. Like, if they're not in the mood, like a cat will literally slap you with its paw and be like, get away from me. I don't want you touching me. I don't want you hugging me. They have their moments. They're a little bit too temperamental. I find that dogs are perfect to just cuddle with. Sometimes they just lay at the base of your foot or they lie like on top of your foot. Coco used to do that all the time. She was the best. If I was in the office working until 3:00 in the morning, this dog, as tired as she was not leaving my foot. She was going to stay right there. Sometimes she'd get up and she'd do this thing where she'd go check on other people. She'd go check on Gigi, and then she'd go check and see what Marlon was doing. And then she'd come back and she'd just lie by my feet. And as long as she'd fall asleep, but as long as I'm here working in the office, whatever, she was here with me, honey child. And then when I got up to go to bed, she got up and went and lie down in her bed. I don't know. I think dogs really, have a sense of our emotional well-being, and having a pet, I think probably any pet, but definitely dogs, lowers your blood pressure. And there's a lot of good things involved in having pets. And I think the same thing is probably true of hugging. Now listen, the person who has this business, and again, I don't even know who this person is, to be honest, they did take a little bit of offense because they thought that we were making fun of their business. And I'm thinking, y'all take yourselves a little bit too seriously sometimes. Let's take this call. Morning, caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, Sandy.
Hey.
You on the public hugging thing, right? You want me to tell you why I'm on the hugging thing? Because in my opinion, if you do that, they're gonna try to crack down on top of you and tell you can't do that because of social distancing. And then when you prove to them wrong that, hey, listen, we don't have COVID in this island. Come, everybody, let's hug and let's test tomorrow. They're not gonna like that. They're not gonna like that. If you get 200 hugs, you hug. Sandy, if you get at least 1,000 hugs for the day, you're gonna be really tired enough. But what?
That sounds like a lot of work.
With the 1% of the people that always socialize in the right manner, that COVID does not exist. I'm sorry, but it's just all. It's a conspiracy, but I believe that it would be.
You're going off the rails now, Alejandro.
It'd be a good experiment to see how many people still have the social skills of coming and hugging just for the sake of it.
Yeah, well, Strong Will also said you have to be careful because of COVID.
I don't believe
I
in it
feel
too
like I
much.
got some COVID immunity still since I recently had it. So this is probably the
Let's
best
get them
time. And I
all
just
up.
got boosted again in December. So this might be
Let's
the
get them
time to
all
do
up.
it.
And let's go. We can be
Let's get some
normal.
hugs
We can be
on.
normal again. Let's be normal again. Let's see what Mankind is all about. If they want to do that, I mean, I'm not challenging you, but yeah, if they would do something like that, let's do it.
Okay. All right. Thanks. So a lot of people think it's a great idea. Strong Will says, be careful with COVID. Alejandro says, let's take a vote. How many is in favor of Sandy standing up with a sign saying free hugs? Darlene says, ask Johan what he thinks about your experiment. Perla says, just have your sanitizer ready. Brenda, she's like, I don't know about this. She says, good morning. I'd be kind of freaked out if a stranger wanted to hug me, not into being touched by strangers, just me. However, Sandra, people might certainly hug you. You know what? I think a lot of people, although I might technically be a stranger to them, because of this platform, they feel like they know me. I get this all the time. People start like, oh, yes, I heard you talking about da 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 da. And we have a whole conversation. Now, listen to this. Speaking of cat, Al says that cats are too miserable for him. Speaking of a little bit of a social experiment, listen to what I did yesterday. This was totally impromptu. And sometimes I do things just because I feel like it, quite frankly. And you don't have to put a lot of thought into it. Just go with the flow and have a moment. So even my husband last night was like, how did this come about again? He was raising an eyebrow like, what? Okay, listen, I had a busy morning. There was a fire in the morning, which we're going to talk about here in a second. After the show, I went to court. Renato Harris was in court. I did miss his, what they call MFS, mention for sentencing or whatever it's called, where they argue what his sentencing should be. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. He will be sentenced on the 15th of this month. And honey child, the word on the courtyard steps, the word on the street is this man is probably looking at a 15-year sentence. Praise the Lord. His victim will never get her innocence back from having him sexually assault her twice, but there'll be some measure of justice, I do believe. So the 15th, 9:30, I'm going to be there. I'm going to have one of the pre-recorded shows lined up for that day so I can be in court and look at him as he is put in handcuffs and taken downstairs for processing, and off to jail you go, honey child. Bye-bye. See you later. Put him in a jail cell with the worst sexual offender you can possibly find up in that prison. But then again, he might like that. I don't know. But anyway, so it was a busy morning. I was at court, and then I was speaking to Wendy Ledger because she was asking me about these trumped up charges again. She said, oh, Sandy, I've been messaging the police and they're not responding to my tell me what's going on because everybody's closed lip. They don't want to tell me. And I said, well, I can only tell you that I've been told that I've been charged. I still haven't seen any documents all now. I'm still waiting for my documents. Please bring me my documents. Y'all don't understand how you put my life in like limbo with this foolishness. Like I tell them every single case, once you charge me, be prepared to hit the ground running and let's get this over with. Let's get to court. Let's get a trial. Let's get a jury. Let's just do it. Don't charge me and drag out my life for 4 years. I ain't got no time for you, honey child, and your foolishness. Ay, que planchera. That's from Honduran friends. Anyway, listen, I had a very busy morning. And then as I was sitting there in court speaking to Wendy, all of a sudden the security was like, Sandra, look outside. There's this big smoke. Something's on fire. And I was like, oh my God, I need to go find it. Let me go see what's going on. All right. So by afternoon now, I'm getting kind of hungry and I'm like, okay, let me go sit down and have a little lunch. So I decided to go by Arbutus. They're in Cannon Place. Yeah. Good local food. Good selection. Tastes good. Good service. You know, they always have a really good variety in the menu. So I was like, yeah, I've been there in a little minute. I'm going to go by. Yeah. So I go by and I'm like, okay. Looking at the menu and I'm like, what do I want in the menu today? And they have vegan, vegetarian options. They do like the stew, vegetarian stew and whatever. So I was initially going to take it to go. And then I said, nah, I've been so busy this morning. Let me just have a moment and sit down. And I was looking on where I was going to sit, and it was a lot of takeout orders. And there's a guy sitting at the window by himself. And so I could have gone and sat at a table by myself too. And I said, you know what? I don't know this man in the moon, but I'm going to invite myself to his table. And I said, sir, may I join you? And he must have been like, what the hell? And he said, yes, you may. And I thought, okay. Of course, my phone was still ringing off the hook and people messaged me. At 1 minute, I thought to myself, Sandy, you've asked to join this man for lunch. You don't even know him. And you're being a little bit rude because you're on your phone a little bit. So I tried to put the phone down. And I said, I'm so sorry. Just messages. And then he's like, that's okay. I know who you are. And I listened to you on the radio. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, well, I started asking him questions about who he was. And I could hear that he was a Jamaican. I was like, okay, tell me a little bit about yourself. And before I know it, this total stranger was telling me about his young daughter who's in the 3rd grade and what school she goes to, and all sorts of personal stuff. The man really opened up and shared. I'm not going to share everything he shared here, but he really opened up and shared. He works for a local company that we're familiar with, and he talked about some of his travels around the world and how he's been to Japan and all this kind of stuff. And it was so interesting to just sit and speak and talk to a total stranger and talk about whatever. And so he had some curry goat. And I said, that's interesting. I said, I'm not a fan of curry goat, actually. My husband eats curry goat, but I definitely don't go out of my way to eat it. Like if somebody gives me a little piece, I might nibble on it, but I don't really eat curry goat. And he's like, yeah, he loves curry goat. But he's like, do you know that lately they've been substituting curry goat with curry, the goat with sheep because it's a cheaper meat and people don't know the difference. And I said, really? Well, I've never heard of such a thing, but okay, that's interesting. So it was interesting, right? And I thought, you know what? I should do this more often. Walk into a restaurant, because I'm one of those people who's perfectly happy sitting and eating by myself. I do it all the time. Walk into a restaurant, sit down with a total stranger with their permission, folks. You got to ask and just enjoy lunch. Why not? So I called my husband while we were sitting there and I said, I'm here at Arbutus. Would you like some lunch? Because I was going to take it to him. I know he's got meetings all day and whatever. And he's like, yeah, order me the curry goat. I was like, predictable, honey chow. And then next thing I know, he shows up at Arbutus. This is where the story gets a little bit funny. So I said, I was going to actually bring it to you. And he's like, he thought he was coming because a lot of times that's what we'll do. Like I'll pre-order for him and then he comes. So I was like, pull up. It was only a 2-seater table. And I was like, you can pull up another table. And the guy was like, oh no, maybe I should leave. And I said, nah, you sit there. Nothing's going on here. You're not going to jump up and leave. So they introduced themselves and whatever. And he's like, okay, cool. So he just sat at the table next to us and kind of jumped in and joined the conversation. But I got to tell you, last night, he was like, who is this guy that you were having lunch with? And I said, honestly, I only remember his last name because we actually have a shared family last name. And we were joking about that we're probably cousins. But the first name I can't even remember. A big shout out to my lunch date yesterday. Thank you, sir. Total stranger, for having lunch with me. Here's something else that I randomly do sometimes that is a little bit weird. And the last time I did it, I think this old lady started crying. And I certainly don't do it to make anybody cry. But sometimes when I'm in the grocery store, I just decide to pay the person's bill who's in front of me. So, I'm sitting there loading up my cart, loading up the conveyor belt. And I do it at Countryside because most often that's kind of where I go now if I do go grocery shopping. And there's an elderly lady in front of me. And she was like, she didn't have a whole lot of stuff, to be honest, but she's getting her little stuff carted and whatever, put in a little bag. And I said to her, I said, miss, I know you don't know me. And this might be really weird, actually, but do you mind if I pay for your groceries today? I think in a way you should ask because maybe some people might get offended. I don't know. And she was like, what? And I said, yeah, I'll pay for your groceries because I don't want to make it a big deal. I don't want to make a scene. You know what I mean? And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. She said, sure. I don't know, 75, 80 bucks, And I paid for her groceries and you can see that she was so touched by that. And I thought maybe what she was going to spend that day. That might have been her last little $75. We don't even know. So if you see me in a grocery store and I make the offer, just accept it. It's like a free hug. It might be a little bit weird, but just go with it. It makes me feel good. I hope it makes you feel good. And even the cashier who was, the conversation wasn't what meant for her, but somehow she dipped into it. And she's like, oh, wow, she really appreciated, you could tell she really appreciated it. Thank you so much. I've done it for a Jamaican guy before too. He was kind of funny. He was the person before. And, he's buying a couple of canned goods or whatever. And him and his housemate is like, clearly they probably work and live together. And they were separating their groceries, right? He's like, okay, I'm going to pay you back for this. And I'm going to pay you back for that. And, and I said, sir, don't worry about it. I got you. And he's like, you do? Now listen, when it happens, don't read too much into it now, honey child. Don't be trying to get my phone number because it ain't that type of situation. I'm not interested in you in that way. Okay? Because they'd be like, oh, I got me a sugar mama right here, boy. Me got me a what would a Jamaican call that? A Jamaican wouldn't call it a sugar mama. What would a Jamaican call that? What's the Caribbean word for that? We wouldn't really call it sugar mamas. What is it? I don't know. But don't get any ideas because that's not what it's about. Boops. Jonathan says a boops. A pops. A poops. A bop. I don't know. Whatever. No, it's not that kind of thing. Okay. Johan is so stupid. This other person in WhatsApp says, yes, random acts of kindness. That's what I call it. And why not? So this person says, when are you going grocery shopping again? When are you going shopping? The funny thing is, I don't actually do a lot of shopping these days. That's really funny that you would ask because my domestic manager tends to do these things these days. So, but occasionally I do go. Yes. And so, the last one was during the holidays and I thought, why not? Some mutton is lamb meat and goat is goat meat. Okay. All right. Good morning. When and where are you going grocery shopping so I can meet you? So several people want to know now, when are you going grocery shopping? Because I got a $400 grocery bill I need you to help me with. This person says, I love helping people too, and I do it all the time. Same thing. In the drive-through, have you ever done it? Like at the fast food drive-through? You get up there, the person behind you has already ordered, and you say, I'm going to pay for their order. So by the time they get to the window, you're already long gone. And then it's like, you paid for their order, and you're like, wow. It makes you feel good. It makes the other person feel good. Pass it along. Pass along the love. So cuddling, if you're big boned or husky dude, does the cuddling service charge more? Asking for a friend, Johan, that apparently has your same build. I think you should charge more if the person's bigger, don't you? Because child, that's more girth that you got to try and wrap around or whatever. It depends on how you're doing the cuddling as well, or the hugging, because cuddling can be a very sensual thing. I don't know. A hug is a hug. A cuddle to me is a little bit of a different situation. So big shout out to the business owners. You know what? If you're into it, I say check it out. Who knows? But I must tell you, they actually got a little bit upset with me. When we did our post, child, they got salty about, oh, you're not supporting a Caymanian business. And I was like, honey, child, you need to learn to lighten up in life. Not everything should be so serious. Relax, laugh. Child, they sent me one long ass message. I was just like, yo, I think you're misunderstanding the post and you're really getting up in your feelings. And then they're like, oh, you're just so mean. I was like, would you like me to give you a hug? You're so negative. I'm like, can I give you a hug? Because I feel like right now, you actually need a hug. You understand what I'm saying, honey child? The hugging business owner needs a hug. They were just taking it. Child, when you saw the message, I was like, some messages I skim over and I get the gist, and I had to skim over this one because I was like, child, let this, I'm the duck, right? I'm having a meditative moment. I'm the duck, and here's the water, and the duck's back just going whew, 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 right over on our business with it. Don't even read the full message. And at the end, I replied to them because, we have more than one administrator on the CMR social media page. So I replied to them because the girl who read that message, she's like, oh my God. She's relatively new to the CMR team. She's like, I don't know how to respond to this. I said, you don't respond. I will respond. Don't worry about it. I was like, here you go. I said, honey child, don't take yourself so serious in life. Nobody's putting down your business. And in fact, the way that I would look at it, the way that I would look at it is that we just gave you a bunch of free advertising that you couldn't even pay for. CMR talking about your cuddling business, child, you probably get 100 people calling you. I was like, relax yourself. I think they were offended because some of you were all up in it like, is this prostitution? Well, a cuddle or a hug doesn't have to be sexual in nature. And I would hope that nobody in their right mind would be engaging in that sort of thing. But y'all are so stupid on the one hand, because do y'all really think that you need to be in the hugging business in order to let me find a video here. Let me try and see if I can find this. Do y'all think you need to be in the hugging business to be running prostitution rings? Child, that would be so obvious that it actually would not make any sense. The one that y'all need to be careful of are these bars, and you know who they are, who are bringing in these poor girls. And the whole sole purpose of them bringing them in is so that, oh gosh, where's this video? The whole purpose of them bringing them in is for them to be paid below minimum wage and prostituting them out so that they can actually find and make some money. That's the real story. I don't know who the hell y'all talking about. So yeah, that's what y'all need to be worried about, because that's the ones who be prostituting all over the place. All right, so get your free hugs on, folks. Go and hug somebody. Check him out. In principle, I have nothing against it. Like I said, they actually do it in other places in the world. If you want to hug, just do your thing. Al says, Sandy, I'll be shopping tomorrow, and my bill is usually $300. Meet me at Foster's. Oh my goodness, that is so funny. Is that $300 a week, Al? And how many people are you feeding? We might have to talk about your budget. What happened to my voice? Actually, Kathy, the voice is a lot better today. It's been pretty decent today. So I acquired a cold, not COVID. I've been testing, just a cold. And as it turns out, I'm on the tail end of it now. So I still have a little bit of nasal congestion. And thank you, by the way. Big shout out to everybody who's concerned about my voice, from the pharmacist to let me see who else messaged me. Oh yes, Miss Faith at Gili. Faith said to me, she messaged me, she's like, oh my God, Sandy, you gotta let that voice rest, because she's a speech therapist, first Caymanian qualified speech therapist, by the way. Big shout out to Faith. She says, she says, the speech therapist in me is crying when I hear you talking with your voice like that. And she's like, drink lots of fluids, no caffeine or dairy. Oh, I had dairy last night. Oops. Warm honey, sweetened teas are good. Voice rest for a minimum number of hours that you've been talking. So she's like, 3 hours of talking means 3 hours of voice rest. Get loads of rest today. Child, I wish I could tell you that I got 3 hours of voice rest yesterday. I get voice rest when I'm sleeping, honey child. But anyway, congratulations to this new business venture. Shout out to everyone who just does these random acts of kindness. I know sometimes people think that we're weird. And I get the sense, even this guy yesterday, when I first sat down with him, he must have been like, "What? Why are you sitting down with me? What the hell is this? You're just randomly going to join me for lunch?" And I was like, "Well, is somebody else joining you?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "Well, then, why not?" Yeah. All right. Everton, good morning. Says sometime is the kindness that you've done to others. Your blessing comes from you. You're a blessing in the sky. You're an angel. Oh, you're so sweet. Jonathan claims that he's very curious about Cash for Cuddles. It's for my research for G3. Jonathan, I think you need another business plan. I don't think that one for you, the G3 thing at work. But anyway. So Perla says that seriously, there's a lot of people that share a room and split the grocery bill because it's rough at times. Yeah. And listen, it's getting so rough that now they're sharing a bed. They're saying to each other, I need you to sleep in my bed. Which is kind of weird if you're a total stranger, but maybe they're trying to get cuddles for free. Miss Darlene says, I see Johanna's alive and well. Good morning, cuz. Yes, honey child. All right. So go to the website, check it out. I think Mr. Whitaker here, Carrie Whitaker, has been putting it down. caymancottagecolony.com. That's free hugs. That's a free hug. That's not the one that you're paying for. All right. Anyway, make it work for you. You know, some of us are more huggers than others. I ain't got no issue with a well-placed hug. And you can tell when somebody really needs a hug and you give it to them. It's not like those superficial hugs. They like really embrace you, honey child. They're like, oh, give you a bear hug. And you're like, oh, yes, I needed this. Go and hug a friend. Hug your kids. Oh, my God. Kids love hugs. When was the last time you hugged your kid? You don't need a reason, right? Pick them up from school this afternoon and be excited to see them and just give them a hug and a big kiss on the cheek, you know, and just say, I love you. No reason needed, just because. All right, Melissa says, talk about this new law for feeding wild cats and chickens. Oh, Lord have mercy. Nobody not paying no $500,000 to go to jail. But I tell you what, I want them to please come and collect the chickens, the vagrant, whatever the heck we call them, chickens that are roaming over in my neighborhood, because I am kind of sick and tired of them, honey child. And, you know, they can get aggressive. Little mama chicken should be getting aggressive when you're around her babies. Sometimes they used to be trying to chase Coco. And I was like, Coco, don't mess with these chickens, child, because they'll beat you up. They'll kung fu chicken you. And then, you know, mama got to take you to the vet. So I need a culling of chickens. You're not gonna kill them. I don't care what you do with them, quite frankly. Take them on a chicken farm or whatever. Just come and get them. They're out of control. Perla says, I remember when I was a cashier, my dear cousin was cashing out. She had a few dollars to buy, but realized that she needed to put some things back. So my dear friend was next to cash out and paid it all for her. Some angels are right there before you. You just need to know when and where is the right time to do unto others. That was the best day of my life. Aw, so nice. Misleading them to a good, lavish life of clout. There's no different than the regular girl that has 5 boyfriends. Whew, Jonathan, I don't know what your definition of a regular girl is, but no regular girl has 5 boyfriends, honey child. I don't know what you're talking about. Hot mess. Alejandro says, my call was a hate crime. Oh, okay. My voice needs a break. Hold on. We got to take a commercial break. Ooh, Hot mess.
Whopping news! Burger King Cayman is turning 40 years old and celebrating by giving away over $40,000 of prizes. Just spend $4 to receive a scratch card for your chance to win thousands of food prizes, Burger King merch, and the king of prizes, 10 cash prizes of $1,982. From December 23rd till February 1st, visit your favorite BK location to win big with Burger King's 40th anniversary. Terms and conditions apply.
Crichton Properties is one of Cayman's most trusted real estate companies for over 50 years. We offer a diverse selection of property listings and help our clients navigate the world of buying or selling their properties with confidence. Crichton is a name you can trust with our excellent customer service and family-friendly touch. Contact us today to list your home, land, or condo for sale by calling 949-5250 or email info@crichtonproperties.com. Crichton Properties, a trusted Cereba member. Are you tired of overpaying for TV services? Can't figure out VPNs? Constantly missing your favorite TV shows? And no access to the good stuff on streaming services? The frustration is real, but it doesn't have to be. Contact Roque, Cayman's streaming pros. We'll put you back in the driver's seat in front of your TV. Call, WhatsApp, or message Roque today on 926-1213. Roque is not a TV service provider. Terms and conditions apply.
Recover Personal Injury Attorneys, helping injured people get what they deserve. Did you know that insurance companies have lawyers that represent their interests? Before signing and accepting any settlement, know your rights. Call us today for a free consultation at 924-9999. That's 924-9999. Recover. Your personal injury attorneys are on standby to assist.
In the mornings, no one wants to miss listening to the Cold Hard Truth or reading CMR. Cayman's #1 news platform has made your morning commute fun again. Pass this time with the Cold Hard Truth on weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Talk radio that's engaging, entertaining, and enlightening. But be careful. Some mornings it's so hot, you might run into a bit of trouble.
I'm back. Yes. Whew. My sinuses were getting irritated there. All right, Carrie, congratulations. Perla says, yes, I was a little concerned about your voice, but you're still Sandy to me. Yes, I was starting to go downhill for a moment there. I could feel it coming. So Miss Vernita says, my challenge is if you're not loving, caring, and kind to the poor and needy, and be a good team player, willing to fight for your rights. You don't have to be born here once you are righteous and respectful to helpful each one. Yes, absolutely. Strong Will says that he's going to Foster's today. I'll meet you there at 2 p.m. Thanks for your kindness. Oh God, I feel like I can never go to the grocery store ever again. But it's random, and you just never know when it might happen. So there you go. 5 clients, says Miss Brenda, not 5 boyfriends. Yes, sir. All right. I can't even with some of you. But needless to say, prostitution is alive and well in this jurisdiction. Someone was sending me a video. I'm going to get it and share it with you guys. I can't seem to put my hands on it right now. But I do know that they'd sent it to me. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Okie dokie. Let's keep it moving. Go get your cuddles on, folks. Go get your cuddles on. All right. Let me see what else will go on this morning. Oh, God. I had it on my agenda about these dog attacks, and I feel like there's probably not enough time ever to really talk about this, but this is becoming a serious issue. Not becoming. It has been a serious issue. And I have been talking about this personally myself for a really long time. Unfortunately, my Coco was killed 2 years ago as a result of a vicious dog attack. It was not the first time that she had been attacked. Where we lived previously, that neighbor had a dog that was hell-bent on, showing aggression towards Coco. The owners were highly irresponsible. They were not keeping the dog contained in any proper way. And it was just by the grace of God and me being willing to fight for my dog why she wasn't killed before. Because one time that's when I knew Marlon was a keeper child. The third time it happened, and I had to call the police then. I said, enough is enough. The dog got out. They're home sleeping. They don't even know when the dog is out because the dog would dig and do all sorts of stuff. And the dog got out. I'm coming out my front door at night, walking my dog, and out of nowhere, bam, this dog just sideswipes us. It was one of those English bull terriers. You guys know the Target commercial with the dog with the red circle? It's that breed. And this is why I think some of you are so irresponsible with pet ownership. You get dogs that you know nothing about. You don't know about their temperament. You don't understand the breed, like nothing. And it's really, really disturbing that you could go out there and purposely get a dog and you don't bother to educate yourself. Not all dogs are the same. Not all dogs are created equal, right? Dogs have been, bred for particular things. So there's some dogs that are very good working dogs, right? Shepherds, sheep herding dogs. And that's why if you're in that particular business, you actually, will get that particular type of dog. Oh my God. Y'all get these breeds because, they look different. Some of you think they look cute and whatever. And you don't understand that they come with a predisposition to have a particular temperament. And in order for you to address the temperament of the breed, right, you need to do some extensive training. And I know y'all love to jump on here, but I got a pit bull and he's so cuddly and he's so this and blah, blah, blah. These dogs have been bred for thousands of years in some instance alongside humans to do a particular thing. And some of them have been bred to be ferocious and to be vicious and to protect a single owner. Now, let me be very clear. Any dog can have those traits. So you can have the cutest little house dog in the world, right? And that dog, mostly because of owners, not being socialized properly, attaches itself to one particular person in a household or one particular owner, and nobody else can handle that dog. That dog will show aggression towards other people. And it's so funny how we oftentimes project our human feelings on a dog. We're like, oh yeah, they're only trying to protect me. Don't call it protection. The dog has an ownership complex over you, right? That you're theirs and nobody else's. So when other people come and try and touch you and whatever, and you see a dog getting aggressive, I know y'all think it's cute. Like, oh, my husband can't even hug me because the dog gets upset and the dog's going to bite me. This behavior is problematic and it's not cute. And the day that that dog does that to somebody, bites somebody, whatever, then all of a sudden everybody's all upset and you want to put the cat, Raymond says cats for the win. You want to put the dog down, all this kind of stuff. But you've got to understand your dog. So the English Bull Terriers have a reputation for not getting along well with other animals. They've known to kill other animals. They are known to kill and fight other dogs, rabbits, guinea pigs, whatever. You can't let these around, So although they might be okay with their siblings or their immediate pack, that doesn't mean that when they see another dog, they're not going to go after that other dog. And I'll never forget Mr. Ebanks, superintendent. What's his first name? Is it Bradley Ebanks? What's his name again? Anyway, he was at the last press conference that they had. So after complaining about this dog, he comes to me and he's like, but oh, Miss Sandy, the dog's so friendly. I go over there and he's wagging his tail, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Do I really have to teach y'all? Do I need to be the dog whisperer? Do I need to teach y'all about dogs? I said, sir, with all due respect, okay? Brad Ebanks, thank you, Alejandro. I said, just because a dog is shaking its tail, you should not interpret wagging of a tail as the fact that the dog is happy. This is one of those things that humans have repeated over and over again, and it is completely wrong. Complete fabrication in our mind that the wagging of the tail means that the dog is happy. It can indicate happiness, but it can also indicate just pure excitement and agitation. Huh? Those are very different emotions when it comes to a dog. And so you're walking up to a dog and you're just focused on the shaking of the tail, and you're not focused on the other things that the dog might be doing, like the hair standing up on the nape of its neck, on the back of the neck, and other things. You would be very foolish to approach that dog and pet the dog thinking that you're going to get a friendly response. There's a lot of things that dogs do with their body language that I feel like humans just completely ignore because we think we've heard a few things about dogs and, oh, yeah, that's how it is. You need to know the dog's temperament as an individual dog. So he says to me, oh, the dog wagging its tail. I said, oh, really? And I said, and what exactly is that supposed to mean, sir, with all due respect? Oh, well, the dog not trying to bite me. I said, are you a dog? Are you another animal? I said, this breed is known to have a predisposition of attacking animals. I didn't necessarily say human beings. I said, let me show you something, officer. Go back over there and make an observation of what happens when I walk outside with my dog. Yeah? Because dogs have an enormous sensory, olfactory, skill set. So they will smell something before they even see it. And I said, I want you to make an observation. I'm going to get my dog. She's not going to make any noise. We're simply going to walk outside of my front door. The neighbor all the way over there, so in a different yard. I'm an apartment complex with another apartment between us, plus yard space, and the dog all the way to the other side of the fence. I say, but watch what happens. The second I walk outside and that dog gets a whiff of Coco, he went into, listen, all of a sudden, Inspector Brad was like, oh, I see what you mean. I'm like, you think I'm just going to make this shit up? This dog has an issue with other dogs outside of its pack. And one of the worst things, quite honestly, that people do is they do not properly socialize puppies. So you get a dog and you don't expose it to any other dogs. You guys, a lot of y'all are into backyard. I call it backyard breeding. You should leave that to the professionals. But y'all looking to make money. Oh, I can get thousands of dollars for a puppy and this and that. You're doing an injustice to the entire lineup of dogs here in the Cayman Islands. You're breeding dogs and you have no clue even what it is that you're doing. So of course, you also, because you're so eager to get a couple of dollars in your pocket, you separate the dogs too quickly from the pack. This is a bad habit. There are things that the mother and the siblings of a pack teach a dog that you, as their new human family, cannot. Trust me. Y'all want to be separating puppies at 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Don't do it. The longer you leave the dog with the pack, the better. 12 weeks should be the minimum. Even dogs that, especially the smaller breeds, but the big breeds do it too, where they like to nip at you, right? That is a behavior that if they're left with the pack, the mother and the other dogs will correct amongst each other. When you separate the dog from the pack too early, Miss Stacy, I'm going to have to beg you some more water this morning. When you separate the dog from the pack too early, what ends up happening is they don't get that corrective behavior. Sorry, from the people who are best equipped to correct it. And you as a human being can't correct it in the same way. I hate to tell you, but you ain't a dog. Yeah. So there's so many mistakes that we make. We don't socialize them with other dogs. So they don't know how to play or get used to being around other dogs. It's just crazy. So, they eventually took that dog away for a while until they could build a proper containment area, fenced area for the dog. Some of y'all are so irresponsible as pet owners. And it breaks my heart. I've seen dogs, the same neighbor's dog was white One day I thought, oh, is the dog's color changing? Because as dogs get older, sometimes their coat changes. The dog was black, but guess what? It was black full of ticks. It had so many ticks on it, and the ticks were full. That's the black that I was seeing on this dog. And then y'all go pouring kerosene and all kind of chemicals on dogs to try and take the ticks. Listen, some of y'all just don't need to have a dog. Just don't get a dog. Don't bother with it. Some of you are literally horrible pet owners, and you don't even know it. In the last week, I have been made aware of 4 separate dog bite situations. 4 different situations. One is with a dog down, and I'm going to put this story up later on today, down Palmdale. This dog actually attacked the groomer in the face. I understand if the groomer still has a nose, he's lucky. Rip the man's nose off his face. And apparently that was not the first time the dog had bitten someone. But these people who own the dog refuse to give up the dog. Well, the word on the street, honey chow, on the mall road, is that they're dabbling in drugs. I'm just going to tell y'all just how I gets it. They're dabbling in drugs, so they want one of these badass dogs. So I guess when the police come now to do a drug bust, that they're gonna have a hard time getting to the dog or getting to the people because the dog is gonna be vicious and get in the way. Well, this is a very, very serious situation because in the meantime, the dog is biting people in the home. Yeah, it's biting now the groomer. And finally, the groomer reported it. The authorities go there to get the dog. The owners don't want to give the dog up. Now, you know that in other sensible jurisdictions around the world, the second a dog bites, that dog is going to be put down, unless there are extraordinary circumstances to explain why this dog bit somebody. When you have a dog that has bitten people multiple times and has bitten the groomer now in the face, on the nose, that dog needs to be put down. And trust me, I love dogs. I'm an animal lover to my core. I would fight tooth and nail. I would do almost anything to bring my Coco back. I even found it hard because, trust me, in the moment of what happened to her, I would have killed those dogs next door if I could have. And I'm just being completely honest with you. But I couldn't kill a dog in cold blood. And so after the fact, you hope that the system does the right thing. The system doesn't do the right thing. They're still next door. They're still over there. So even as I'm going on the journey of getting another dog again, I'm fearful. What if they got out again? But I tell you what, I'm telling you the truth this time. I have a machete now. And any dog that comes on my property and attacks my dog, I'm sorry, but I will not hesitate to use that machete to cut your head off. End of story. There's no enforcement in this country. Animal control has 2 people working, which is not enough for the foolishness that goes on here. And these dogs are out there attacking people and attacking their dogs and their pets. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. So just this morning again, another listener to the program sent me pictures and videos of her poor dog who was attacked. Thankfully, the dog is alive. These poor little dogs have to sustain so much aggravation. So this is what this person said, Sandy. This is what happened to my sweetheart, Cardi, last evening when my son was giving him his walk. Second time in weeks. This breaks my heart, and the neighbors refuse to take control of their dogs. Now I have no choice but to report it to the police, and I'm still very saddened. So listening on today. Report it to the police. Give them an opportunity to do their job, although in most cases, they seem ill-equipped, right? You hear them talking about foolishness, like, yeah, take the dog and this and that, blah, blah. And I said, officer, have you bothered to read the animal law? You can't allow your dog to roam. And then you know the BS stories that they won't come up with. Well, was your dog Coco in the public road when it was attacked? And I was like, say what? I said, listen to me good, right? I literally almost had a heart attack witnessing this. And unfortunately, my poor daughter had to see a portion of this. And to this day, she's scarred by what she witnessed. I said, don't ask me no foolish questions, because I will give you a reason to send me to Fairbanks if you keep it up. Cameras everywhere. And the sad part is these particular dogs, again, never had any proper socialization. 2 dogs, they formed their own pack with each other. One was way more aggressive than the other one. So once he started attacking, the other one just followed suit. Right? They were out for blood that night. And when we went back and checked on the camera footage, we saw where they were out in our yard earlier in the night, sniffing down the yard, marking their territory in our yard. They already had gone into the gated community, attacked another dog. The humans had to fight them off and take that poor dog to the vet. One of the humans got bitten and had to get a tetanus shot. All this stuff went down, and you can believe that the police and Department of Agriculture returned those dogs. They should have been put down. They should have been put down. They're the kind of dogs that will turn on their owner one day. You know what I'm saying? I mean, an owner, female, petite lady, she can't handle these 2 dogs. She's yelling and screaming at them as they're dragging my Coco into her yard to finish her off. Because when you talk about, even with cats being predatory and being predators, until you have seen how they hunt and what they do, you have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, but they're so nice and cuddling. Listen, I've witnessed it with my own eyes. And when a dog is in that zone, right? Even with the English Bull Terrier, when that dog was in that zone, I mean, at one point, literally, Coco was on her leash and she was running circles trying to get away from this dog. We're kicking him, hitting him. At one time, he grabbed her by the neck. And like I said, this was the moment when I knew. I was like, oh, I better keep Marlon around, child. He's husband material. Because he ran out of that house so fast. He had his belt buckled. He was hitting the dog, and that dog was unfazed. This is what happens when these dogs get in attack mode. You could do anything short of shooting them in the head, and they are not going to let go. They have that killer grip, and I'm telling you, they're not. And if you get in their way, they're going to bite you too. You might not be the primary target as the human being, but I assure you, they will bite you. They will do whatever to get what they want, which is to kill. And once they have blood on their mouth, you need to put them down. Y'all need to be more sensible with your dogs. If you have a dog breed that you cannot control, get rid of it. Give it away to somebody else. And some of the best so-called animal rights advocates and dog lovers and whatever, they want to try to change the image of a pit bull, for example. And I ain't got no problem with that, because not every pit bull is the same. And like I said, a lot of it does come down to nature versus nurture and how much you can undo. And sometimes none of the nurture makes a difference. You've seen these owners these dogs, my apologies, turn on babies and owners, elderly people, attacking the mailman and all sorts of people. And once they're in a pack, they will kill you. Even one dog can kill you, but definitely once it's a pack, right? They will kill you with a vengeance, tear your limbs. Listen, y'all need to go and see and read some of the autopsies of what these dogs can do. And I know y'all get on your high horse. Oh, you just don't like pit bulls, or you don't like this breed. I am an animal lover. Yes, pit bulls are prohibited breed, but here's a joke. Somebody just asked that question. Prohibited from importation? But that's why we have so many here overbreeding and crossbreeding them, trying to get these pit bulls to continue to breed. And you have to know that at this point, the population in Cayman has got to be too much inbreeding, which makes a dog stupid too. Inbreeding can cause behavioral issues. So, all of these dogs that are on the prohibited list, even if they're here already, they should be forced to spay and neuter the dogs. That's exactly what the law should say. Anyway, they continue to allow all this backyard breeding, and the situation is just ridiculously out of hand. And it is quite sad, right? Because ultimately it is the dog that is going to suffer. But you mean to tell me if a dog bites me or my dog, that I don't have a right to say that dog should be put down? It should be put down without question. And you know, the irony of the situation with Coco is that night the dog owner said to us, she's going to put down the one who she thought was the aggressor, which he definitely was worse. She's going to put him down. But in the end, she couldn't do it, and nobody compelled her to do it. So both dogs are still there. All I can tell you is don't make him run out in front of me in a car, because I might just not brake. I'm just being honest. Oh, but they got out because the gardeners came. Yes, these things happen. But what's going to happen the next time the gardener comes and leaves the gate out? Are they going to get fixated on my child next? You know what I'm saying? Listen, that going to be the day that they're going to be murderation up in Savannah and Lower Valley. It just blows my mind. There should be very clear rules here. There's too much muddling of the grounds. Police don't know what to do. They're confused. Well, we don't have a right to do that. Then DOA, the animal control people, well, it's really the police job. Get your friggin' act together. I don't care whose job it is. Let's amend the animals law. Cut out all this backyard breeding. Start putting some dogs down if we have to. To think you can't even walk your dog and feel safe because somebody else's dog who is not being managed properly is going to attack your little dog. It's egregious. And I mean, then you have the poor dogs in pain and suffering. You've got vet bills. The poor dogs get puncture wounds. My husband would not allow me to see Coco after the incident because he's like, I don't want you to remember her in that way at all. Because this would be a grave disservice. You have such wonderful memories of her. I don't want you to have this as a memory in your head because this is the kind of thing, he went and dealt with it. He went and dealt with her at the vet. He's like, I don't want you to see this. And she fought, poor little thing, as long as she could. 28 hours in, her body could not. And even the vet said to me, Sandy, for her age, because she was, how old was she? About 10 at that point? That, she actually did really well, but it shows what a well taken care of dog she was, that she even had the energy. But, with the bite marks and the trauma that she had endured and stuff, unfortunately, infection was setting in. And it was like, we can't allow her to suffer. And every single time I think about this, it makes me emotional and it makes me upset. And the lack of accountability, right? Some people get taken to court, just like the firearms law. Some people go to court for it, and other people, nothing will happen to them. Well, I'm getting another dog again, and I'm telling you something. I'm sick and tired and fed up of the foolishness in this country, right? When it starts to happen to the right kind of people, I guess. Remember how they were attacking the former governor when we had, what was her name? Helen Kilpatrick. All of a sudden, DOE could go round up dogs and start putting them down on West Bay Road and the ones roaming the beach. Well, a governor is not the only one who can get bitten. And it certainly is not the only one who's gotten bitten. Some of these dogs are roaming in packs and they're looking for nothing but trouble. Collect the dogs and euthanize them. And I say that with a heavy heart, but knowing that is the only solution for some of these dogs. You're not going to keep it up until you come across a crazy person who going to start chopping up and poisoning your dogs. And then, oh yeah, you mustn't poison dogs. I don't agree with poisoning dogs. That's inhumane. That's horrible. But people feel like they have to resort to taking matters into their own hands when foolishness like this is happening. Having to get, now they have to shave down around the room so they can see how deep the puncture wound is so that they can treat this poor dog. It's ridiculous. And when the police come to your yard to take a dog and you refuse to hand over the dog, that should be an offense. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. Oh my God. All right. This person says, good morning. We have a neighbor whose dog holds everyone hostage when she gets loose. One day I was literally trapped in my car, could not get out because the dog kept running into my yard attacking. I called the neighbor and she's like, oh, I don't know what's wrong with her. Really? Last time, the other neighbor called DEH and we had enough. One morning, I walked out of my house and the dog was in my yard barking at me. I went inside looking for my machete. And you have every right to defend yourself against these wayward attacking dogs. You have that right. Nobody wants to have to do that. I mean, trust me, no sensible person wants to take a machete and chop up a dog. You know? Here's another comment. The agriculture department and the police pass the buck one to the other. Yes, they do. And I've witnessed it myself. And neither takes responsibility to tell the perpetrators to take responsibility. I've had issues with goats and now with dogs as well. This person says, aren't pit bulls a prohibited breed under the law? It's time to amend the law and put them down. I agree. So this person says, apparently the man is okay with the one who attacked the nose. The pit bull only managed to tear the skin off of his nose. Only? Well, I'm sure if he could have, the man's whole nose would have been gone. That dog needs to be put down. Multiple attacks later, and it's only tear off the skin. Put the dog down. Okay? Like I said, I've known of animal lovers who themselves have come into a bit of a situation where a dog or multiple dogs have attacked, have bitten them to the point where 1 centimeter over on the leg would have been a major wound and you would have bled out and you would have died as the dog lover. And the dogs had to be put down. Huh? There's no shame in saying, unfortunately, I cannot control this dog and there's nobody else who can. And that's a problem. And you can't, I know what we say, there's no such thing as a bad dog, there's only bad owners. Well, just like some children have a genetic predisposition to certain types of behavior, believe it or not, so do dogs. More so. Because as I indicated, dogs are actually bred for a particular thing. They're bred to be fighting dogs. So yeah, you might want to cuddle up with them and have them in your bed. But you make them have a moment and you can see what the hell going on. Jonathan says, you would think that a dog groomer would have put a muzzle on a dog. Well, listen, if that same dog is biting their very owner, how much you think a muzzle can help? You're assuming he's biting the dog groomer for a reason. That same dog has bit their own owners, but of course they don't want to do nothing about it because the son refuses to give up the dog. It's ridiculous. Alejandro said that dog would be dead. How many dog owners can introduce a cat to their dog? Everton says pit bulls can be very unpredictable. That's why they hurt so many children. And I say, you know, what I remember when I had Coco, people would walk up to me and be like, oh, does she bite? And I said, does she have teeth? Morning, Scott. I'm like, any dog that has teeth can bite. So when you say that, I would always say, be cautious when you walk up to a strange dog. And I've tried to teach my daughter to have respect. You don't just run up and grab a dog because, of course, you know, having Coco around, she thought that all dogs were nice and all dogs are wonderful. And I said, no. I said, always ask permission. If you can pet a dog or whatever, be cautious. Not every dog will react the same way. Now, I must admit, Coco had the best temperament that I've ever seen. I've owned dogs my entire adult life. And she has the best temperament I've ever seen. I actually saw a toddler in her old neighborhood walk up to her grab her face and twist it to the point where she yelped. And her response was not to bite at that child. Most dogs would have snapped at that child. I can tell you, without a doubt, that child would have been bitten. But poor Coco was like, arr, arr. And I was like, no, 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 no. I quickly separated the two because I was like, every dog has a limit, honey child. You can't be hurting a dog in the face and think that that's going to fly. So I quickly told the child, no, 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 you don't do that. But I can tell you that even in that split second, every other dog that I've ever had, I didn't know about Rupert. Rupert was a lab mix. Rupert was very, very gentle. But my other dog, Oscar, oh God, that baby would have got bitten right in the fucking face, right in the face. Yes, honey child. Oscar would have bitten that baby. Not even, it would have been instinctive because that's the kind of dog Oscar was. Oscar was temperamental too. Loving dog. But when he read it, he'd show you his teeth. If you did certain things to him, he gonna show you. I'll never forget when we first got Oscar with my ex, actually. One day he was like yelling at the dog and he had Oscar in a corner and Oscar was like, hell to the no. You ain't gonna be yelling at me. And he bared all of his teeth. And it wasn't that it was just an unprovoked sign of aggression. I said to my ex, why are you yelling at the dog? What the hell are you doing here? Right? But when that dog felt threatened or stressed out, and stress can be different things for different dogs, he would respond in an aggressive way. Oscar is the kind of dog that would go to the beach, see a child walking at a birthday party with a plate of food, and he thought to himself, ooh, I want that food. He would run over to the child, knock the food out the child's hand and eat it. That's how he was. So he had a very Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personality, honey child. Oh, sometimes I would say this dog, only a mother can love. He would try your patience. He wasn't outwardly aggressive. Like he wouldn't just go and start biting people for no reason, but he had a temperament about him that you had to monitor him around people, and especially people that he saw lower on the hierarchy than himself, which included children. One time he embarrassed me so much. We went to Spots Beach, right? Got the whole beach to himself because they used to love, you said the B word, beach. They were out the door. Let's go. Pack up. Let's go. They loved the beach. After a while, I started to spell it. They still do it. So he would run all over the beach. They loved to go swimming. Oscar would actually put his head underwater and breathe and blow bubbles underwater. And he loved to go pick up rocks. Like if you throw it for him, he'd try to go under the water to get the rock and bring it back for you. But like I said, he was very temperamental in a way as well. So one evening we go to the beach and he see a guy swimming. The guy's swimming. He sees the towel and the bag of stuff on the beach. He goes and lifts his legs and urinates right on the man's stuff. I was so embarrassed. Of course, I had to wait till this man come out of the water from his swim and say, oh my God, I have to apologize to my dog, Oscar, because look, he just peed on your stuff. Of all the places, there were so many bushes and everything he could have gone and peed on. It was an act of, I don't want to say aggression, but it's like passive aggressive behavior. And he would do it all the time. And the funniest thing is, Oscar was a very smart dog. He was the easiest dog I've ever had to potty train. Never had a single accident potty training him. He was really smart. But he had this passive aggressive personality. And I saw it from early on. When he was a puppy, I remember I was still in Tampa. I brought these dogs with me from the States. And we were in the kitchen talking. Nobody wasn't paying him no mind because, well, guess what he did? He went and peed on my ex's foot in the kitchen. Not because he had to go outside, but because you're not paying him no mind. He's like, okay, I need to get your attention. I bet you if I pee on your foot, you're going to pay me attention. I was like, what the hell are you doing? This is a dog that never had an accident inside. Know your dogs. Pay attention to your dogs. They have personalities. They have traits. And if you don't understand your dog and understand these things, get help. If it's possible, get a trainer to step in. And if not, sometimes you have to take the unfortunate route of doing something a bit more aggressive. El Ray, good morning. Says all you had to do was give the dog a rectal exam and they were released right away. Oh, geez, I'm peace. So I must stick my hand up his bum? No, sir. Melissa says 75% of people that have these killer dogs broke. They can't even pay your doctor's bill. Well, that too, which is really, really sad. It's just unbelievable. Alejandro says some dog owners remind me of the royal. Perla says if I'm walking down the street and police stop to question me about why am I walking with a bat, well, I'm defending myself from any dog coming towards me. I have all rights to have a bat to defend my. And is that sad that you even have to walk down the street with a bat? All right. This person says, Sand morning. I'm so sorry about your baby Coco. I had wanted to ask previously, but was dreading this type of news. So sad. I had 3 of my cats killed the same way. It's mostly the owners of these dogs, and the law here sucks about it. But yes, the owners are responsible. Well, ultimately, they definitely are responsible. But it's so sad because once you've lost an animal in such a vicious way, you know, it's not something that you can really get over ever, I think. So Perla says, Sandy, you need a big hug right now. What I really need is for the laws in this country to be changed. I need for our legislators to wake up and make some necessary amendments as it relates to this sort of thing. Right? If your dog bites any other animal or any other dog, it will be put down. I bet you that would be incentive enough for a lot of these owners to do the right thing. Anybody in the PAC government listening this morning? I could never tell when they're listening. Premier Pampton, can we get some amendments to the animal law? You know, you have these charitable organizations who do so much work and they are frustrated because people don't even seem to have the good common sense on how to take care of a dog. A dog gets a broken limb, talk about they can't afford it. They'll let a dog live for years with a broken limb. And then it becomes infested and gangrene and all sorts of stuff. Caymanians, non-Caymanians, whoever you are that have dogs, please, I am begging you to either be more responsible or don't have a dog at all. Maria says that leash laws are not being seriously upheld either. I see dogs being walked in certain upscale neighborhoods without a leash. Melissa says, if the dog is running free and bite one of my nieces and nephews, tell the owner they dead, and I will go to Fairbanks or whatever, wherever they want to put me, and I will serve my time smiling. It's so sad because it shouldn't have to come to any of this. Anyway, Sean says, who at DOA actually cares about dogs or any other animal? No one. They're there for a paycheck and to kill them. Anyone who's ever owned a dog as a pet doesn't understand. Clueless. What a hot mess. Alejandro says, and this is why there are no dogs on the public beach. Listen, you can take your dog to a public beach. They're supposed to be on a leash. But dogs enjoy swimming. I mean, I can't tell you how much my dogs used to love going to the beach and swimming and whatever. But you have to be in control of your dog. And even the example I just gave you of Coco, we let him off leash so he could go jump in the water. And what does he do? Go pee on somebody's towel? Oh, God. Anyway, let's try to get it together, folks. Miss Wanda says, I know situations where the people have their dogs taken away from them and they just say, go ahead, I will get another one. They don't care. Isn't that sad? And this is why, Wanda, one of the things that should be put into the legislation is the fact that if you, as the owner, have been found negligent or have had one dog taken away from you, you will be banned from dog ownership for 3 years, 5 years, whatever. And they need to be prepared to enforce it. So there shouldn't be an option that, oh, you're going to just be an irresponsible dog owner and the police take your dog, oh, you just get another one. That should not even be on the table. Disgusting. All right. This person says, oh, yes, thank you. Oh, I see you're messaging me from both phones. Thank you so much. All right. So that's what I've got for you today, folks. One post note, tomorrow, the guy with the gun is in court. We'll be there to see if he gets bail. Can I just tell you, not in a million years should he be eligible for bail. But anyway, I'll be there to see what the source is. Here's the crazy thing that I've been told about the situation. Apparently, this guy asked permission to bring weapons into this country and was told no. And then he turns around and does it anyway. If they let him away with a fine, some judge needs to be put in jail right alongside him. Huh? He asked if he could, filled out paperwork, asked permission, and was told, no, you cannot bring these firearms. And he turned around and did it anyway, because apparently we don't matter and our laws don't matter. Yeah. And now he looked like he's so scared, sitting up in police custody, and the wife is there. Oh my God, looking so pitiful. Oh, he can go and stay in a nice cushy villa with his wife. Let him out on bail. Let his bumbaclot stay in prison and give him a sentence of 7 to 10 years. Until we set an example out of one of these fools who keeps coming to our country with these firearms, nothing will change. They will continue, for whatever motive and whatever reason, to test our laws. And we need to show them, you put our laws to the test, and this way you can get. Y'all have a beautiful day, and I will see you tomorrow morning, God's willing.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. Here's a summary of some of Cayman's latest headlines. The Cayman Islands Fire Service extinguished a fire from 3 trailers in an open lot near Cayman Auto Diagnostic Clinic in Georgetown Tuesday afternoon. Thick black smoke was seen from miles away, and the public is reminded that in the event of discovering a fire, take all necessary precautions to stay safe, vacate, stay out of the area, and immediately call 911. Canadian resident and Russian citizen Anton Pargin appeared in summary court via video link on Tuesday afternoon before Magistrate Gunn. The 45-year-old was charged with the importation of 3 firearms over the weekend via Air Canada. OFREG has appointed 7 members of the public to the Cayman Islands' first Consumer Council. The new council's primary purpose is to represent consumers and protect their rights by identifying and advising the regulator on issues affecting them across the utility sector. The Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage has welcomed Caymanian Teresa Cole-Dawes as a policy analyst to its team. She joins the ministry's policy team alongside Alanis Linwood-Amore and Tanissia Barnes. The Department of Environment says researchers are investigating how to protect sea turtles in the Cayman Islands from the multiple threats caused by climate change. The project, which is titled Mitigating the Impacts of Climate Change on Sea Turtle Populations, has received a grant of almost £400,000 from the UK government's Darwin Plus scheme. Now for your CMR weather update. It's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 7, sunny along with a few clouds when the temperature is at 83 degrees Fahrenheit and the humidity at 71% like the forecast calls for. It will feel like it's in the mid to high 80s. Winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour and the sun sets at 6:18. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the mid to high 70s. Looking forward, similar weather conditions are expected. If you would like to know more on any of these stories, visit caymanmallroad.com or follow Cayman Mall Road on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. That's it for now on the Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe and God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels and visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.